Billions, and we should do. Thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. President Flores is not here, he's busy and he'll be joining us later, but for right now, I'm gonna start the meeting off. It's 5 minutes after 6 on September 11th, 2024. And this is we're opening a Board of Education regular board meeting tonight. Anna, would you do the roll call, please?
President Flores, Vice President Sprague,
Here.
Secretary Trujillo,
Here.
Board Member King,
Here.
Board Member Concha.
I don't think she's gonna be on Zoom. Maybe, but I don't think so. Okay, next is Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Lake, please lead us in.
So
Oh, that's right.
again, keeping with our new traditions,
Oh, I forgot.
tonight, yes,
Hey,
tonight we have
sorry.
Troy Ritzman. He's a 5th grader from Enos Garcia Elementary. Troy was born in Rapid City, South Dakota, and has been a resident of Taos since shortly after his birth. He is the son of April Cadu and big brother to a 6-year-old little brother who adores him. His favorite color is green and his favorite food is pizza. One of Troy's favorite sports is basketball, and he's excited to start the new season. Troy would like to be a professional basketball or soccer player when he grows up. Please let us welcome Troy Ritzman, who will lead us in the pledge and the line of acknowledgement.
I pledge
allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now Troy will lead us with the line of acknowledgement.
They were thankful to recognize the unique and enduring relationship that exists between indigenous people and their traditional territories. We acknowledge that we are on historic homeland of the Red Willow people within the original territory of Taos Pueblo. This acknowledgement will oblige as a reminder of our ongoing efforts to respectfully recognize, honor, reconcile, and be partners with the Red Willow people whose land and water we benefit from in this great valley today.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you so much, Troy.
Can't wait to see you on TV as a basketball player or soccer player.
All right, next, I'm gonna turn the meeting over to Dr. Layton for a moment.
So at this time, I'd like for us to stand just for a moment of silence in remembrance of the lives lost on September 11, 2001, and for the community, staff, and students, families of Appalachian High School in Georgia. Just a brief moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Layton. All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting agenda for tonight. Does anyone have any changes that they'd like to make? Board Member King, do you?
No.
Okay, would one of you like to make an emotion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second. Okay, Anna, call the roll, please.
Vice President Sprague,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Board Member King,
Yes.
Board Member Concha.
Yes.
Okay, next item, item F is public comment. Do we have anyone here tonight that would like to make a public comment? Yes, one? Yes, just, hold on a second, I have to read a whole long thing, then I'll call you up. Public comment, any interested person may submit views or arguments in writing to the board on any school-related topic by submitting their comments to the executive secretary on Arail. An individual or representative wishing to give public comment shall register prior to speaking in public comment. Additionally, when registering for public comment, the speaker shall be required to identify the subject matter of their proposed comment when they register. Speakers are allotted 3 minutes or an amount otherwise designated by the board president at the beginning of the meeting. The board president, in his or her sole discretion, may shorten or lengthen the comment period time to ensure that the meeting is efficiently and properly conducted. All speakers are required to abide by all time limitations. All speakers are strongly encouraged to avoid personal attacks, to utilize all administrative avenues for complaint resolution before bringing issues to the board, to avoid identifying students in their comments, and to present all comments professionally and respectfully. If you're an individual with a disability who's in need of a reader, amplifier, qualified sign language interpreter, or any other form of auxiliary aid or service to attend or participate in the hearing or meeting, please contact the office of the superintendent. Thank you. All right, let's hear what you have to say.
I was gonna say good morning, good evening. Good evening, I'm Rachel Coleman and I'm the president of the PTSO for the Taos High School. And I think I've met most of you. The one issue that we wanted to bring up today is the issue of addressing vaping in the schools. One of the concerns I've had as in the last month or so, talking with people as the president of the PTSO, and specifically parents of 9th graders saying, how is it? And being really upbeat about it is that the kids and the 9th graders scared to go into the bathrooms because of all the vaping that's happening. And I'm hearing that vaping's happening in the classrooms. And so the question is how to address it, which obviously becomes very difficult. And we are offering help to the administration and to school board in addressing this. I've done just a bit of research today, just on Google because obviously we're not the only school across the nation dealing with this. There are detectors, vape detectors that you can get for bathrooms. I don't know what's been done and what's been looked into, but we would really like that addressed, and we're happy to help in addressing, figuring out some schools who've used these detectors, have they worked, what would it cost? It does look like there's grants available through Title IV-E as well as SAMHSA, as well as some other school initiatives on safety. I would assume it's appropriate for the opiate settlements, that things like that we would probably be able to find funding if the school so wish to go with the detectors, if that's even a good idea. And would think that if so, the other high schools and perhaps even middle school might need these. So that's.
Thank you.
all
I'm
that I
so glad that you came tonight. It should say in our opening statement that the board's not allowed at this time to respond to you.
Yes.
However, Dr. Layton, you might at some point want to speak with Ms. Molman about this. That'd be great. Thank you for coming. Anyone else care to participate in public comment? Maria, is there anyone online?
If you're online and you want to participate in public comment, please raise your hand.
No? Okay. All right, then. We should add a sentence in there that says that we're not allowed to respond, just so people don't wonder why we stare at them and have them leave. All right, next is item G, and it's a recognition. And Dr. Layton is going to lead this recognition.
So today, this evening, what we're going to be doing is recognizing someone who is long overdue for some recognition. During the pandemic, there was times that, of course, we were here and not here. But this person retired in 2020 during the midst of this pandemic. And they served 30 years as an educational aide and a librarian in Ranchos. And so because this is long overdue, we wanted to make a special recognition tonight to Teresa Archuleta. So we'd like to recognize you for your years of service and dedication to our students and our school district. So if you could please rise, we have something for you. Ms. Abdullah, what is that? No, from the line, we have from this one. Small children are appreciated. Thank you. Appreciate it.
These are already on the wall. You.
And you're welcome to mention anything to the public.
I loved what I was doing and I loved ranchos. And I loved working when Renetta was there. And Melissa, and it was a big deal for me. And, so I was that, I retired and it was like, oh, no big deal. But it was important and I loved ranchos very much. That was my home for 27 years. Thank you.
Home of the Mustangs, correct?
Congratulations to
Thank you so much.
Billy. Thank you for tricking her to get here. She had no idea what was gonna happen tonight. He told her that we wanted to talk to him. Awesome. She thought he was in trouble. I love this.
If I may say you did an amazing job because it is public agenda, so you did an amazing job.
Right? Oh, I'm so glad that that got done. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
All right, next we have item H, student outcomes. HA is Taos Middle School, Principal Linda Martinez.
Vice President Spurley, board members, Dr. Layton and Ana Maria, everybody in the audience. So tonight, I'm presenting on our student outcomes, and I just went ahead and focused on the 3 A's that Dr. Layton has asked us to report on for every board meeting. I just went a little bit more in depth. So go ahead, Maria. I'm going to start off with our iReady testing. So this is our beginning of the year scores. And I have 320 as of Monday. We still have a few kids that have tested since then, but as of Monday, 321 out of 341 students completed both their reading and their math iReady testing. So it's broken down by tier. Green is grade level or higher. As you'll hear me mention proficient, that's the green. Yellow is 1 grade level below, which I would call nearing proficient. And tier 3 is 2 or more grade levels below, which I would call beginning steps. So I was actually very pleased with some of these numbers compared to our MSSA scores that we got at the end of the year. They're supposed to correlate the iReady and our state testing. So seeing the beginning scores was an eye opener, but also someplace where I knew that we could start. Do you want me to go through each? I mean, I know that you guys can see them. Do you want me to go through each of them, or do you have any questions about any of them scores? So we have to complete a 90-day plan, and we're going off of these scores. And in our 90-day plan, we came up that we wanted the 3% growth in both tier 1 and tier 2. When we figure it out by students, that means that we would need 10 students to grow from tier 2 to tier 1 and 10 students to grow from tier 3 to tier 2 by January. So what we're doing is we're looking at the actual students and knowing them by name. Their teachers know them, who they are, that are almost to proficient or almost to nearing proficient, and we're really focusing on those students and seeing what we can do a little bit extra to get them where they need to be. Maria, thank you. So we have 2 intervention courses, Read 180 and Math 180. And the way we are placing students into those classes are again with their beginning. Well, the end of the year iReady test from last year placed some of them in there, but we had a lot of spots. So we used the beginning of the year iReady scores to continue adding them into those classes. What we did was, in prior years, we took the bottom students, the kids that were 3 or more grade levels below, even like 4 grade levels or 5 grade levels, and we put those students into these intervention classes. We changed it up a little bit this year. And what we did is we got the top tier 3 students, so the top red students, and we placed those students in the intervention, trying to get those students up to the next tier, because they're almost there. So we're focusing on those students, and we're planning a different intervention for the kids who have 4 or more grade levels below. They will have the opportunity, because Math 180 and Read 180 takes away an elective, they do have the opportunity to get out of these 2 classes by taking the test again in the middle of the year. And if they've made gains and they're making those proficient or nearing proficient, then they can be reintegrated into their elective class. iReady, when we had our training, I believe it was probably about 2 years ago when we started with the iReady. When we had our professional development, the people from iReady said that it was really important that students, at least at the very minimum, work in their MyPath individualized learning instruction for at least 45 minutes. So what we've done is we have 2 advisory classes, one on Monday, one on Wednesday. On Mondays, the students work for 45 minutes on reading, and on Wednesdays, they work for 45 minutes in math. So that's a way that we can make sure that they are doing their MyPath for 45 minutes a week. Now, teachers throughout the school have different competitions going. So not only is it 45 minutes that they're required to do, but they also have incentives within the classrooms that if they pass a certain amount of lessons on their own. So that's at home for homework, or just if they have extra time to give the class, they can log on. So they're doing that as well. Go ahead. So the next part, to ensure that learning is at its peak in each class, we've kind of changed things around a little bit. And I know last board meeting, Ms. Diavera had talked about some of their goals that they have within their school. So what you see up here is the schools, the WIGs, the well-being goals, and the lead measures that we are working on within our school. So for the state testing, our 2 WIGs are to increase ELA scores from 38% to 41% by May 30th on our MSSA. And in math, we want an increase from 8 to 11% by May 30th. The way we felt that we can do this, as well as reach our 90-day plan goals, was to really make sure as administrators, so that would be myself, my assistant principal, Hernando Chavez, and my dean of instruction, Monica Archuleta, we are doing weekly walkthroughs. And we're focusing on 3 areas. We're focusing on teacher engagement. What that looks like. Is the teacher sitting behind their desk, giving the student a handout and just kind of babysitting? Or is the teacher walking around, meeting with the groups, up in front of the class, having dialogue with the students, watching as the students are working together? Student engagement, are the students participating? Are they working? If they're in groups, are they, is the focus on the topic, or is it about what's going on at lunch? And how are they asking questions, or are they just fooling around and not wanting to do their work, whatever the case is for that day? And the third is are their objective and learning tasks. So what we've asked the teachers to do is place on, we have an Avid board inside each class, and they're supposed to post their objective. What are they learning for the day? And then they have 3 prompts that they have to write in. And it's today I will, ... I will do this by ... And I know I have learned this by ... And then along with that, with their objective, they need to show what standard they are working on for the day. So when the 3 of us walk into these classrooms, we give them it's a 5-minute walkthrough. We sit down, we see what's going on in the class, we give them a high, a medium, and a low. And the template that we use, they have, and it gives exact examples of what we're expecting to see. So we can circle, we can highlight, we give comments, and we give them their feedback within 2 days of doing the walkthrough. So up, the chart that you're seeing up there gives a little example for the first 3 weeks of how it went. So the first week of school, and actually it's the second week of school. The first week we didn't do any walkthroughs because it was just time to get to know the kids. But the second week, there was 26 teachers that we were able to do walkthroughs with. And you can see how many people had high in teacher engagement, student engagement, and objectives learning tasks. And as the weeks progressed, those lows now became mediums and now became highs because they're expecting it. They know what is expected of them. I would like to say for week 3 that you see up there, myself and Mr. Chavez did not do not one walkthrough. We were behind in the leaderboard. So every Friday, the 3 of us meet for 20 minutes and we go over the data, what we collected, what we saw, what we need to work on for next week. But that week, we just were so busy that we didn't get to go into those classrooms and do the walkthrough. So Monica Archuleta right now is at the top of our leaderboard. She's only missed 2 teachers for the last 4 weeks that we've been working on it. But it does keep us accountable to each other as administrators, and it keeps us accountable to the teachers because the teachers know we're coming in, and the teachers are accountable to us because they know what we expect. So those are our WIGs and our lead measures. Attendance. So you guys might have seen this information before. This is what we go by through the state. Tier 1 is less than 5% of days missed. So at the end of the year, that's 5 to 9 days. Tier 2 is 5 to 10% of days missed for any reason. That's 10 to 19 days. Tier 3 is 10 to 20%. That's 20 to 35 days missed. And Tier 4 is 20% or more days missed, and that's 36 days. So this year, we finally have an attendance coach, and she has been doing an amazing job. So what you see up there is data as of up to Monday. So I'm gonna go with the bottom, and I'm gonna start with the tracking part of it. She's been tracking attendance daily, and these are the numbers that have come out up until Monday. So 56%, which is 190 students, are on track for success. That means that they've missed 0 days or 1 day. 27% of the students, which is 92, are at risk for success, missing 2 to 3 days. And 17%, which is 59 students, are critical for success, missing 4+ days. And then I have a little note on the bottom saying that the majority of the absences have been because of illness. COVID is going around again, so some kids have been staying home a little bit longer. So that's what the majority of the 17% why they've missed. On the top are what the outcomes are if they fall under one of these tiers. So Tier 1, there's been 27 students that have gotten sent a letter home telling their parents, you are in Tier 1, your student has missed such dates, how can we help, how can we support? This is what's going to happen if your child continues to miss. Tier 2, there have been 8 letters sent home with meetings with the student and with the families. Tier 3, there have been 3 students that have had a letter sent home, but CYFD has also been contacted. And then right now, we have nobody in Tier 4. Okay. So this is what Ms. Rodriguez has done so far. So at the very beginning of the school year, that very first week of school, she looked at all the students in 8th and 7th grade who had at 6th grade, but she started with 8th and 7th, who had missed 30 more days of school last year. And she called them in individually as she asked them, what are some of the reasons you are missing? Why? What's going on? How can we support you? Is there something that we need to do to help you get to school? And I'll skip the second bullet and I'll go to what some of these things were and what goals were established. Part of them was, some of them really just wanted to be in school, and it was important for them to perform academically, to perform well. Some of their goals were to set their phone on night mode at a certain time, that way it was off. Some of them thought that putting their phone across their bedroom and setting a timer and having it charged far away so that they didn't have it in their bed at night. If the alarm got up, it forced the child to get up and go turn it off, and now the child is up. That was another goal that they had for themselves. But a big issue was transportation. A lot of these students that have chronic absences were saying parents just didn't want to get up and take their child to school. Or they didn't know what bus to take, or the bus was too far, so the parent had to get up and take the child to the bus stop. And the parent was late getting them there, so they wouldn't take them home, they just take them back home. Then they wouldn't take them to school, they would just take them back home. So what Ms. Rodriguez has really tried to do is, find the bus that they go on, what time they get picked up, what time they get dropped off. She's called parents and said, this is what your child has told me, this is what needs to be done. So she's in constant communication with these parents. And she is also documenting this in Panorama. So anytime a parent says, well, I haven't heard from anybody, it's documented that a phone call was made or an email was sent, so on and so forth. So the next are activities and what's happening. So right now we have fall athletics, which is volleyball and cross country. We are now starting our students of the month. We're starting staff spotlights. So every week a different staff will be reported on through Facebook. And then we're doing quarterly assemblies. So on October, I think the 16th, I believe, we'll have our first assembly to for honor roll and attendance. And we have 11 Taos High School interns that are coming on Fridays for Flex Friday. So I have 4 that are working with me. They're helping us set up our wellness student lounge. 2 of them are working with Mr. Chavez. I have 2 working with Mr. Gilroy, 1 with Ms. Sandoval, our Spanish teacher, and 1 who will start working in the office on Mondays. And then the next one are our upcoming events. So on September 17th, which is next Tuesday, we will have our open house. Picture Day will take place on Wednesday. Of course, we have our homecoming week. Then our honor roll assembly again, October 18th. Parent teacher conferences are the 23rd of October. And Ruben R. Quintana Veterans Day celebration will be November 11th, which I believe is on Monday. So I stand for any questions.
Do either of you have any questions? Ms. Martinez? Board Member King?
Yeah, appreciate it, Mrs. Martinez, on the report. With the cell phones, have you thought about like a handout to the students for the parents? Because, you know, I think we talked about this last board meeting, like the parents are really,
Concerned?
well, they're uninformed.
So I actually expressed this to Dr. Layton yesterday, that I was lucky enough that Mrs. Diarera deployed her couches the day before I did. And I was able to read the rants on Facebook. Because the next day, so I think you deployed them on a Thursday, is that correct? I did mine on Friday. And so we deployed them through advisory. And then I met with myself, Mr. Chavez, Ms. A. We met with students by grade level in the cafeteria. And we talked about from day 1 when Dr. Layton sent out the survey. And we just informed the students how this came to be. It wasn't just something that we said, hey, this seems like a great idea, let's throw it out there. I explained what the results were in the survey and how parents thought that the cell phones were a distraction, but they felt that the students they needed to put them away, but they just wanted them on their body, with them, not with somebody else. So we went through that. We went through all the rumors on Facebook. We're trying to stop communication. We're trying to hide things. We went over things how parents could still communicate. Every every classroom has a phone. You have your email. Like there is no stopping in communication. If a parent wants to come to school, by golly, we welcome them to come into the school. We talked about the breaking of the cell phones. Kids are wanting to break them or they're cutting them. That there would be a replacement cost. We talked about, what if I just bring a fake phone? We know that you're gonna bring a fake phone. Bring a fake phone, put it in there, but policy will take place when you get caught with your phone. So that conversation did take place. I can say that right now, we haven't really had a problem with it. Do I know that every student is putting their phone in their pouch? I don't know that every student is doing it, but at the end of the day, kids are walking by and unlocking them. So I feel at the middle school, it's going pretty well.
My question was not,
Oh, did we send out something to the parents?
Yeah.
We did. We sent out a letter and we sent out the contract. Did you see those two things?
no, I don't think Superintendent Layton shared those with us, but
So
that's
we-
good,
So
that's
we
good to
did,
know.
we sent out a letter that was signed by Dr. Layton, Ms. Diarra and myself, and explained why, the purpose of it. And then we also sent out a contract, an awareness contract. You're aware that this is taking place.
Nice.
It's not an agreement, because not every parent's gonna agree, but you're aware that this is an acknowledgement, that this is happening, and this is why.
That's good. Just one last thing, just like the survey, I think it's a good thing to maybe do something electronically to just let the parents know about the absentee, the previous slide, the kids, oh my goodness, they're almost parenting themselves. This is best practice for your kids to get a good night's sleep.
Okay.
And you have to be reminded, we have speed, limit signs on the roads, you can never, in regards to buckle up, safe zones,
Yes.
so anytime we could communicate to the parents, because I think sometimes we get in the habit and you know how life is,
Yes.
it doesn't dawn on you until, oh, wow, this is something, best practices and kind of be reminded.
I will say that I skipped a bullet. I'm gonna skip this bullet, but going back to that bullet, the bullet talked about how Ms. Rodriguez has tried to contact those tier 3 over email, called, no pickup, no response. And again, it's only 3 students, but those are 3 students that we can't get a hold of. So, but yes, I agree, and I will take that into consideration. We'll send out something, whether through robo or through a physical paper that goes home with the kids, and even on Facebook, just posting why it's important to get your kids to school.
Yes, go ahead.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
After watching the presentation, and thank you so much, because this is really, really good information. But it seems to me that we have the community of the school, but it extends to the home and to our, it extends to the home, but also it has to be embraced by the whole town, let's say the whole town. And I say that because, here we were the whole summer. Kids stayed up late, or there were no, and the parents kind of have to go back and get into the routine, the same routine of getting the children ready for school. And so you have to, I have to go to bed at 8:30, like my grandson has to go to bed at 8:30. So I have to show him that that's important.
Yes.
By having that structure myself. So it's quite the challenge with parents. And again, it's different for every family. It's very, very different.
Yes.
But again, if we can work as the best channel is the communication to assure the parents that it's so important to the children, because they need at least 10 hours of sleep to be able to function. And it is important that we provide the meals, and if they need more, then they have to provide them at home before they come to school, whatever the case might be, but the parent they have to be totally and completely engaged and involved. And but whatever we can do to get that to happen, that would really, really help the children. And I believe it would really help the teachers and the whole system work a lot better. Because we talk about the schools, and we talk about community. Well, this is community coming to the forefront of bringing your children to school.
Right.
And we love having them in school. And And it's a challenge for the teachers, it's a challenge for the parents, it's a challenge all the way around. But to get the children in such a good environment so that they can want to learn and embrace the embrace learning, because it's going to have to be something for the rest of their lives. They're going to be learning. And not that they're going to be professional learners, but you learn every single day from one another and from life itself. So, but thank you so much, because this really gives us a picture of what goes on in the schools. And I really, really would love it if parents would zoom in, encourage them to zoom in to these presentations that you bring to us, so that they can see these statistics, so they can, like, Member King said, you know, so that they can, and hopefully they'll see how, not just how important it is, but what their children are a part of. These pictures tell 1,000 words, you know, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
All the teachers.
I have just one question. Thank you for your presentation, Principal Martinez, it's very nice. I see you have 341 students currently enrolled at the middle school and 29 withdrew since the first day. Do you have any idea why they're
Some of
withdrawing,
them
what's
do,
happening?
some of them, so even though we've had 29 withdraw, how many did we have come? I think we had like 21 come in, right? Is that?
Yes, come from
So
other schools.
They've moved, they've gone to DISA, Anansi, International,
Just decided to go to
Yeah.
different school, okay.
but we sometimes get them back. They try and then they come on back.
Oh, good.
That's all right. In the state, I've been told that the state knows if they're not going to any school, correct?
They, now with the new attendance laws, they do, because prior to this, we would do a 10-day drop.
Uh-huh.
If they were in school for 10 days, we dropped them. Now it's harder to just drop them. We have to do our due diligence trying to get them there. It takes a while. So obviously, if a kid isn't coming to school and another school isn't requesting their records,
Right,
then we know that they're not in school. But they have to request the records, so that's how they're tracked.
okay, thank you so much, appreciate it, good job.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to HB, which is Arroyo del Norte Elementary Campus Report, Principal Dr. Anthony Medina.
Good evening, Spray, board members, Dr. Layton, colleagues, and community members. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of the school. Let's start off, it's very rare that we have new staff in their schools. I just wanted to make them public. We do have a special case manager. We've always kind of had a contracted case manager, but this year we have a real special ed teacher who's at our school Monday to Thursday. And she's come to experience from Anansi, and so we're very proud to have a teacher that really can provide the special education services for students that we have at our school. We also have a brand new first grade teacher, Ms. Ida Walsh, a brand new head custodian, Mr. Michael Pacheco, who came from Enos Garcia. And it's really important. We only have one custodian on our campus, so we've always tried to teach kids to take care of the school, take care of the bathroom, take care of the cafeteria, take care of their library, the gym, their classrooms, and so we made a priority in school so that the school belongs not only just to the teachers, but the students take the pride they have in their classrooms. And we also have Ms. Angel, who said it comes to as a police academy teacher. We don't have very many discipline problems in school. We like to, we emphasize the students' behavior, so we're proud that they come to school ready. So we utilize her to do interventions in our school when we have students who are kind of falling behind in mathematics. So she takes those kids on Fridays and she does kind of one-on-one with them. So we really utilize her services in our class. So those are 4 staff members that we have that are new this year, and we're very proud to have human resources on our campus to help us to really excel in the areas of academics. One of our big lifts, one of our heavy rocks we're lifting this year, the scoreboard, is Dr. Mia has a data room. And the data room, it has scores for every student that we have in our school. And it reflects the work they do on the board at the end of the year, the middle of the year, and then the year assessments and ready. And so each student in the school has a portfolio that we have, and we understand exactly how they are in terms of their progress in math, reading, and writing. And so this year, we're gonna be utilizing that data room to help students understand what they need to do in terms of the reflection of their data and what they can do to help improve themselves on campus. We've tied that to a 9-day plan, which helps us to reflect of the importance of what's, not only the teachers knowing what to teach, but also the kids knowing what they need to understand. And that, to me, is the most important thing we have in our school, the students understanding where they stand on our campus. Our analysis, the reflection we have, that also ties into our 9-day plan and our data room with regards to the interventions we have for students. Our greenhouse, which we're very proud of, our chemical science lab, we have one of the nicest greenhouses in the district. We grow things 24/7, 365 days a year in our school. And students are responsible for understanding the germination of seeds and what have you. So we teach them that, is there a comparison between plants that get more water than other plants that do not? And what is the difference? What's the growth rate and what have you? So students understand that. And each section of the actual greenhouse has been sectioned off each of the grade levels. So each section, the students have an opportunity. So we have kindergartners who are digging up, weeds and planting and germinating and adding fertilizers and what have you. So the greenhouse has become one of our hubs in our school with regards to the kind of the science lab we have. So we're very proud. This year we grew green chili. We grew carrots, we grew potatoes, and there's something else, and also leafy vegetables. And after these things germinate and they're ready to grow, we send them home to parents. So the parents really love to have those type of things sent home from them as well. Bilingual class intervention. There are some parents who've asked that their students not take bilingual class, or maybe not have that because they want the students to have intervention. So the teachers, what they do personal tutoring every single day with quite a handful of students. They're all in Power School. So essentially, students who aren't doing very well in math, reading, and writing, teachers take those students out for 45 minutes during that bilingual block. And we found those students who have done that, their scores have increased 13% over that amount of time, which means they're getting almost 1-on-1 intervention with teachers. And so the teachers, the bilingual teacher, the parents all work together to make that happen. We're also kind of flying high with our SATs and IEPs, being that we only have 14 staff at our school. It's very difficult to find personnel to do SAT meetings and IEPs. So we have become very fluid at making sure that students, when they need any type of educational assistance, their SAT teams really come together to make sure students get the support they need. And now that we're brand new special education manager, the IEPs are really flowing smoothly, so we're very proud of that. Our assemblies are done in Avid. And during our Avid assemblies, we have them we have one set for the 10th of October, the 19th of December, the 13th of March, and the 22nd of May. Those are very important to mall marks every 9 weeks. And we celebrate student achievement, we celebrate citizenship, and also perfect attendance. And perfect attendance is another one of our heavy lists. And we also look for the campus to have perfect attendance. So we have a parent who's a massage therapist, and during the 9 weeks, if your teacher was had attendance, because massage stays up that. So it's really worked out really good in their school, and they really showed a lot of determination for our teachers. They really have a lot of pride in their school. Our teachers are so close, they're almost like sisters. They protect each other, they help each other, they nurture each other. And I truly believe that teamwork, that camaraderie we have with their staff is the reason why our students do so well, because they know they're loved and the teachers are there. And they're the best role models for their students because they do care about their well-being. And we also tell students and parents that there's a lot of learning goes on, but not very much when students are home. So we put a big emphasis this year on making sure that students are in school. I do morning duty every morning for parent drop off and pickup. And so during that time, I'm present. So if any parents have any kind of questions, they don't have to call me. They can see me. They can ask questions. And there's a lot of questions I do answer in the morning, so that when there's enough phone calls coming to the office, or we don't intake their phone office, I am there for them, and they really do appreciate that. This is our second year of having student council at our school. The student council is also tied to our site-based leadership team, our community school. So we want to know what students have to say for campus. There, personally, this is my 34th year of being an educator and administrator, and I know that the most important people on our campus are our students. They are the reason why we have schools. And the second most important folks on our campus are our teachers. So those two folks at our campus, they have a big role in our school. But the student council is very important because they do have a voice on our campus, and they do allow us to understand there's maybe some things we can do that differently during lunch, or maybe there's a certain thing we can do during activities, which is our STEAM arts, our PE in our library. So students' voice on our campus is very important, and so is their interaction with their staff, and they do appreciate knowing that their voices are being heard on our campus. Our WIGs and our lead measures, this year we have taken on, the data as part of our growth plan in our schools. And we focused on reading and math efficiency. And, last year we had, 35% of our students who are right on track proficient. Most of our students are right nearing proficiency. So we have roughly about 40% of students in reading that are nearing proficiency. So we have about 70% of students, that's 7 out of 10 students in school who are really at that point where they can make that difference between going from near proficient and being proficient. So we are going to up our game this year from in reading. We'll go from 35% to a 15% increase to 50%. I know we can get that measure at the school, be reading on track. In regards to our week number 2, we have students in math proficiency last year to 29%, and in a year assessment, we plan to take that to 44%. So that means 44 out of 10 students will be proficient. But we also know there's a lot of students that are going to fall right behind that marker on near proficiency. So we know that we'll probably have more than that, but that's what we're going to aim for. And the one thing about our school, we have 105 students on campus this year. So the percentage of points we have for each student is really powerful. One student increases score, that changes the percentage tremendously. So we know that at this point, our school, every student counts. The data assemblies that we'll be having will be set so that teachers have an understanding of where students stand with regards to the data. So there'll be adjustments to their academic lesson plans. But also the most important part is that the students will be part of that planning process. So we'll understand, it's almost like when people go to see a doctor, that when you walk into the doctor's office with a file, inside that file, everything that you move on to see a doctor for, everything has been online, and there have been measures that have been taken to have remedies for whatever it is that ails you. In the same way, students have the same kind of follow their campus, and we know what they need help with, and so teachers are able to plan and to direct their instruction, so it's clearly focused on needing the students. We do have an attendance team this year. We have a combination of 2 classified staff and 2 certified staff that's part of that. We have our attendance coach, my secretary, and our attendance coach who is part of the attendance team. The attendance team is really kind of working hard to make the connection with families. That's the number one thing. So when we have students who miss campus or miss time on campus, we want to make sure we reach out to these families and ask what we can do to help them. And most times what we have is that sometimes a lot of parents they don't have a vehicle to bring kids to school, so we offer them transportation. We do have transportation from the library and also from San Cristobal, so 2 buses. So there's always a way for us to get to that point. So community school and our attendance team work together to make sure that our students are being represented. We started school off with a 95% attendance rate. That's dropped in the last couple of weeks to 93%. So that's really about 8 students who are kind of missing school. So we're really focusing on those 8 students to make sure that we give them the support they need. Again, attendance and habit are tied together. So we make perfect attendance a big deal. We have community members who have donated bikes, donated sporting equipment for students who receive a perfect attendance. So there's an incentive tied behind that. And the kids have got out of school with bicycles and things that they love. It's a wonderful thing to see kids walk out of campus, things of that nature. With regard to attendance, we do take attendance at 9 o'clock in the morning and at noon. That is a very important part of the teacher's daily performance. Is that we take the attendance. We know maybe some kids that came in a little bit late and they're there, so we want to make sure that we keep them we have them on file. Last year, at the beginning of the school year, so the 23-24 school year, we started our school with 84 students. And this is the first year that we started over 100. So we had a 20% increase from 84 students last year at this time to 105 students. And a lot of the attribute that to is a lot of students are coming in from Cuesta, a lot of kids coming in from Angel Fire, and a lot of parents are hearing that our school is offering STEAM programs, and we're very excited. We have one parent who, 2 parents that work at Holy Cross Hospital that show up from Eagles Nest to make sure the kids get to our school for the academic serving campus. So we're very proud that the name of our school is getting out there. And what happens is that the teachers are really working hard to make sure these families have the same type of input with regards to our campus and for our students. We also have 24% of our students reside outside our community. So again, they're coming from Cuesta, they come from Angel Fire, Red River. There's people moving here from Texas, Oklahoma, and the Rosa area is a very expensive place to live, but there's some other finding a way to get to our school, and we're really proud to have them. So those students coming from different areas are bringing different ideas, the culture, their feelings towards education, so they're very happy. And that 21% of students outside our district is a 7% increase from last year, so we're very happy that our enrollment's building. And that means that some students who come in, they're very happy, and students are getting other students from different parts of the country. And so all of these things kind of come together, and students are kind of finding new friends. And it's a very beautiful thing on our campus when you see kids sitting together playing. And that's really one of our happy kids and productive kids. So the programs we've already had, and we did have an open house on the 15th of August, so it was a very successful open house. We had 8 of our community partners that were there. We have Taos Alive, we have Toro, Taos Behavioral Health, UNM High, the Keeler Foundation, and Blue Hill Valley Tutoring, and Taos for Kids. These organizations were there to present to families during the open house, and the families know exactly what it is that we do and what they offer. And those are programs that we didn't have last year, we have this year, so we're very proud to bring in the resources we have with those programs, because those community partners are key. The Keeler Foundation is a pretty big foundation. They support a lot of programs down in Taos County, but also in New Mexico. And we met with the family of the Keeler family, and they're just amazing to know that there are people out there who really want to offer support to our schools. And they're looking for ways to improve not only the ties of the kids, but how the community can do to implement programs that are supposed to help our schools function at higher rates. We're also very fortunate to have the Dolphin String Quartet come in. This is the third year we've had a different quartet from different parts of the country, but these folks were from Manhattan. And there were 4 gentlemen that came in to play for our students. And since this has been happening, many of our students have really been wanting to get into music. So we have community partners that have been bringing in musical instruments to teach kids about music. And I think that's a very beautiful thing. All our kids really gravitating towards that. And we have Miss Everett Arts, who's from Angel Fire, who has been instrumental in all this happen. So we really want to embrace that connection we have with that. And for kids to see professional musicians play, it's an amazing process. We've also had Taos Behavioral Health visit our school. With regards to the pandemic and even students these days, there's a lot of mental health issues that we have with students come in from environments that allow them productivity at home. Taos Behavioral Health has really been instrumental in allowing our teachers to understand the referral process. We have students who need support. So they're very closely aligned to our academics, they're closely aligned to supporting our students in our school. And the individuals who come in from Taos Behavioral Health actually sit in the cafeteria with their students, eat with them. So there's a very tight connection we have. In fact, many of our teachers, including myself, we have lunch with the kids in the cafeteria. We sit with them and it's constantly just talking to kids, hey, how's it going? How can we make the school better? Is there something you can recommend? So even at that level, just breaking bread together and sitting with the kids and having that time with them is an important time. It's part of the day that I have an opportunity. It's like my classroom, the cafeteria, so I take that pretty cool. I like to help kids with that. So it's a wonderful thing that we do for the kids that they love it too. We've also had the procurement meeting with Ms. Tanya Maestas. And that's a very important thing. I know there's been areas of spending in our campus, the procurement process, and we want to become more fluid with that. It's something I know it's very important to our school district to make sure that we're spending our money, not only spending, but spending it correctly and wisely. And so we've asked Ms. Maestas that as far as the rules and our teachers, that we want to be able to make the process streamlined and to utilize the sources of our schools so that we can have the type of continuity with our finance department and our teachers, so they know what to submit when it's time to do so. Our after school program started on the 3rd of September, and we have 31 students who are part of that program. The parents are very happy about that. So we'd like to have the opportunity not to have to rush to school to pick up kids. So that program really does a lot, not only for their students, but also to offer parents and to respect those parents. They work. And we want to do everything we can to support both student and parents with regards to the after school program. It's not a child care program, it's an enrichment program. So we do continue school even after school, so kids who need tutoring. And in regards to our community partners, there are folks there who are now teaching kids with regards to the drama after school. We have kids who are doing physical education. We have students who are working on their homework, students intervention. So students are getting an opportunity to work with our teachers and other community members to really kind of keep up the school environment even after school is over, and kids love it. And we also do food distributions twice a month. We distribute 300 pounds of food within a 2-week period, within a 2-day period within a month. And so we have that kind of connection with families we know that need help. And a lot of times their families have a lot of pride and don't always ask for that kind of support. So we tend to sit with them one-on-one, and at the point that we understand those families are, this is the second year of that food distribution, and we find that parents who receive those food, it's a humongous help for our students and for our parents. And it also builds a kind of relationship and knowing to have the families knowing that the school is not only a help for education, but it's a help for also support for our families. And so very, very proud of that, and we're building. And these are all things that we didn't have last year, and so we feel that we're kind of climbing this mountain together. But the one thing I can say about the college of Rosa Norte is it's the power of the teachers. They're amazing. They're most amazing staff. I've been at a lot of campuses in my career, but this campus that I'm at now, Roosevelt, is my 4th year there. They're doing the job that they need to do to make sure our community and our staff and our students are being looked at as key and focus on their education and independence. I stand for any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Medina. Board Member King.
The student council, Mr. Medina, can you tell us a little bit how that works? Like, is there each class has one representative?
We have 2 representatives for each class. We've only focused on 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. We're also including kindergarten, 1st and 2nd. So we want to make sure that they also have a voice. And kindergarten to 2nd in the primary grades, we have the teachers who are kind of guiding that process. They join us during our council meetings. And then what we do is, last week we voted on the student body president, the vice president. And so they have those individuals in place. Those individuals who are the president and the vice president join our site leadership team, which is our committee. Meetings we have with the community, and they are giving input with regards to school, with regards to the climate, with regards to the cafeteria. Things that sometimes the adults will think about, they're really able to kind of articulate that. So we have an understanding what's good for them as well.
And how old is the council? You said a couple years old?
This is our 2nd year. Last year, we started kind of just swinging the year, like this one we started at the beginning of the school year. So we started, it's in full force now. So we have 2 members, 2 students for each grade level, including the primary kindergarten to 2nd, but they're joining the teachers when we have the meetings.
And one other thing, I'm encouraged to hear about the increase of enrollment. How old is the school? I remember when it was built. How many years now?
I believe the school was built in 1995. So it's about, I think, is it 29 years, right around that, it's what I know, yes.
It's in great shape.
Yeah, I was teaching at Rural Seco when that school was built. And because I was teaching in 6th grade, I had to go to middle school, but I always wanted to teach at the Rural Norte. So I've been a student there, I've been a teacher there, and now a principal and a community member at our school. So it's a great pride. I actually live so close to the school, I could walk to school. So my father always says I'm the luckiest man in Taos County because I get a chance to walk to school. So it's a nice example not to drive to school, but I really do appreciate that. And it's about 29 years old, to answer your question.
That's great. And one last thing, I just want is complimentary on your metrics, from last year. And I think the word is getting out. And it's neat to hear that we have people from out of our county, Eagles Nest, Questas in our county that are coming to, the kids are coming to the school. Because the word gets around that you guys are doing good work.
And I have a lot of credit. I look to the teachers. They're the ones who really have the love they show for the kids, and the fact that they're engaged with the students coming in, the parents coming in. So they really did a good job of making sure that the parents are welcome. And I know a lot of the parents from Northwest, they're also talking to the parents, hey, you got to come to the school, and it's a distance challenge. But now that we have a bus coming from San Cristobal, a lot of the parents do catch the bus there, and they bring the kids, and a lot of parents actually drive there too. And I got a chance to talk to a lot of people from Cuesta, so they're very happy with the school, and they're happy that it's a small class, it's a small environment. And I really do think that small environment is really paying dividends with regards to how students are doing academically.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Medina. I loved your report.
Thank you.
Loved it. And the cafeteria thing where you say students have been working in collaboration with the cafeteria ladies. I just love this. I can picture it.
Yeah, you know what, you always have to say thank you, the cafeteria folks, sometimes they get forgotten.
Right.
So it's a norm now, and they walk in, thank you for the food, and because it's one of the things that I think that we forget is sometimes the people working behind the scenes. But the cafeteria folks are amazing, Tina and Marie Martinez, they've been there since the beginning of the school open. And so they're also really invested, they do care about the kids, and they deserve the attention they get with regards to being acknowledged.
Have they fixed the roof on that freezer yet that leaks?
I don't know.
Has that gotten fixed? Could you check?
I will check for you. I'll
Okay,
check.
cool. Okay.
So one last thing, I really want to thank you all for taking time to read our board reports. We do put them into it properly. And I think the accountability we've been having this year has been great for our schools. I think now we're working with reflecting things differently. But I think that, sometimes you just need to fire or chair a little bit to kind of, just to do a little bit extra, but that little extra, it pays dividends and then we move forward. So I want to thank you all for your help and support. Thank you very much.
Reading them is a pleasure. It's really fun to read them. Really fun. And you probably are going to put Anansi out of business. I'll call Michelle. I'll call her tonight.
That's for good board meeting.
I swear, she'd be proud of you. I know, I'm so thrilled you're in my district. I'm just jumping up and down. You're awesome.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you trying to drop by and visit our school. We really appreciate that.
Yes, it's nice to say hi.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Keep up the good work.
Dr. Layton, it says, now it says see campus reports, but Arroyo's already gave one that said the middle school. How do I skip those over? Is it for all those?
This is
pieces?
the opportunity, should the board have any questions on.
Got it. Got it. So under CHC campus reports, if you, when you read all of the reports that we got, if anyone has any questions for any of the other schools or comments or thank yous or.
Yeah, Dr. Madeline Cerner's not here, and I just know, that construction right now is, it's like they were working on that road. Is it getting close? Superintendent,
Well, I'd like to say, I know for sure, but because I leave at a certain time in the morning, around 7, it's clear. And because I leave pretty late, it's clear, but I have heard that it can be taxing sometimes, yeah.
It's like a 15-minute, 50 to 20-minute wait. That's what I had to wait yesterday, coming in and going out of town.
The good thing is after it's all done, said and done, it's a
Okay,
nice
then.
smooth.
I don't know if Dr. Marmel's on, I don't know if anyone's online or not, but their attendance is up to 92%. That's great at Ranchos. That's fantastic. And then I had something for Ms. Martinez, Carla Martinez. She's the only one that got a better attendance rate than Dr. Medina by 0.4%. So you have something to go for, something to balance your time out with. When you're greeting those kids in the morning, say, gotta come back, you gotta come back. We got a little bit to make up. And also I wanted to give a shout out to Carla Martinez for having 100% of her students pass their math courses, and September 17th is going to be Constitution Day. And all month they're learning about 7 of the articles of the Constitution. I think that's so great.
And,
I've not seen that here before.
Vice President, just to let you know, Carla Martinez was at a training today, but she got here.
Well, she got a big old clap of the hand for me. That was awesome. Does anyone else have anything you'd wanna?
I like the use of the library as well, in the cyber school, very
Mhm.
impressive. No, I would say that hopefully the freshmen are, that Taos High is doing this as well. I think it's important to. The library is a great source. I know we have one at the high school, but, I think it's great.
The one at the high school is so beautiful. Have you been in it? It's round. The building's round. It's so neat. Everyone should go see it. I loved it. And Ms. Mora Atencio, it sounds like Mr. Spell is really casting a spell at your school. That was really great to read about that. Thank you so much. All of the reports were so informative. They're so, believe it or not, they're fun to read. They really are. A lot more fun than all the numbers in the back. So does anyone else have anything they'd want to say about the campus reports?
Hopefully, Mr. Spell will do some type of, break dancing, Dr. Simpson next year. Let them know that, we don't want to get sidetracked, but I think in regards to flex riding, it'd be kind of neat because it was an Olympic sport. For the Olympics this summer.
Yeah, he had, was only at school for a little while, finished last year, and so where they brought students in and did all this first things with them. And he said he would love to do that again if he had more time, but on a smaller scale, maybe do something for after school program in that instead.
And community foundation, maybe any funding source that they,
Possibly,
yeah, something to think about, because I know you guys are, everything is spoken for.
yeah,
So he gets a little bit for his time. Yeah.
great idea, thank you.
Renetta, would you like to say something about the Indian Education Program? Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Actually, presentation next.
Oh, there is one. I'm sorry. I wasn't planning on leading the meeting. I didn't read ahead. Sorry. Great. Well, but first, You're first, aren't you? You next? Okay, we're doing district update. Okay. IA is Renetta Mondragon, Associate Superintendent.
This will be HD.
Oh, I'm sorry. She's giving that and this next one too? Oh, you're giving two in a row.
One is based on.
Gotcha. I didn't have any idea, you guys. I apologize. I didn't plan
It's
on
IA.
doing this.
Vice President, Spring, HD is study around student outcomes,
Yes,
whereas IA would be an update on.
got it. Got it. Thank you, Dr. Layton.
Give me about 2
Okay,
seconds.
now that we're in order here, now that I'm in order here.
Well, I had to clarify a few things also on my end, but I'll wait for Monday.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Give me 1 second here. Yeah, that's not letting me open it.
Monday, I think that's the relevant.
Is this a good one?
No, you're right. Okay. Vice President Spray, members of the board, Superintendent Layton. I need to clarify, I think I misunderstood Superintendent Layton on what I was presenting. I was going to present on our graduation rates and we had put Indian education, so my apologies on that. Superintendent Layton, I'll make sure that I follow exactly what you have on the board agenda next time. But I do have interim assessment scores for the school district as an update for the board, as well as preliminary graduation rates that we have available for you to do. Maria, the next slide.
It's a little delayed, so.
So I just wanted to update you on our New Mexico visas. We're still embargoed at this point. Superintendent Layton reached out to PED Assessment Bureau and we found that they're going to stay embargoed until I believe it's mid-October. They're still looking at redoing how they're calculating our numbers. They were finding some discrepancies in their calculations, which we're happy to hear that because we had our status of our school sites changed twice last year. Our elementary, Enos Garcia Elementary was changed and that was unfortunate that they were looking at the calculations wrong and it's just not working out for a lot of the districts. So I think we're gonna be one of the ones that will see the benefits from that. So that's just the update on that. What Superintendent Layton did find out is that we can provide you with preliminary scores and that's how we're labeling them right now. Maria, our next slide. And just as a reminder, our WIGs were to increase by 5% in math and ELA. And our school sites have looked at their short cycle assessments to see how they're beginning and to use those, as all of our principals were saying, and I'm sure that they reported out in their reports as well. They're utilizing these to drive their 90-day plans. Maria, next slide. So very quickly, we have our, and this sheet was provided to all of the board members. It's quite a bit of data. Superintendent Layton asked us to provide a one-sheeter so that we can update it quickly and everybody could have an at-a glance of what is being presented. You have for every school, or for every grade level, from 12th to kindergarten, where students are falling. And then the top dark bolded line is where the district overall is falling. So that's up at top. You can see we have 8% of our students in reading and 3% in math that are mid or above grade level. 11% or 8% early on grade level. We have 26%, 25%, one grade level below. 2 grade level below, we have 16 to 18%. And then 3 or more grade levels below, we have 39% in math and 46% in, or 39% in reading and 46% in math, my apologies. One of the issues that we did encounter in our assessment of our students was late deployment of our iPads. It, no fault of our IT department, if there was miscommunication with our contracted services, but we've addressed that issue. All of our students have had their iPads issued out, so we were able to get some preliminary. So we don't have complete testing numbers for our lower grades, just because they're finishing up their assessments. In fact, today I was at Enos Garcia, and we had a few more school sites that are still testing their students. Above each of the lines on the grade level, what you can see is how many students in each area have tested and how many total there are. So if we're looking at our 12th grade students, we have 62 that tested and 173 in 12th grade level. So I know Ms. Herrera has been working really hard, and Flex Fridays has been the designated days to get students assessed. Which I will say, compared to what we have had in the past, we have not had assessment data, short cycle assessment data for our 11th, 12th, and 10th graders. And now we have that assessment data. They were able to use that to create their 90-day plans. Some areas of concern for us is that we have 3 or more grade levels below in reading and in math. One of the issues that I think we're encountering is students either rushing through the assessment or not taking it seriously. I did hear that there were bets on how quickly they can get through it and complete the test. So this is a discussion that we're having as administrators, going back to the school sites to have a conversation of what that looks like and what impact it has on the students in their other areas of testing. So we're going back and going to work with the PLC teams on that. Are there any questions with this?
Board members, do you have any questions? I have a question. When will you do this testing again?
We'll do it mid-year, so we'll begin it in January with our students. So we'll give them a semester to increase their rates.
Okay, so I think I'm reading this right. This is really concerning, this dark red column.
Absolutely, it is.
Horrifyingly concerning.
Mhm.
What are we gonna do to change that?
Well, this is where our school sites have their PLC meetings, and they have that additional hour on Fridays to start addressing these areas of concern. I know our high school has been very active in meeting with the PLC teams and looking at individual students and where they're scoring and how they're going to support them for additional services. We're also looking at attendance rates for each of these students and where they are, how that's playing into all of this. Dr. Layton has also requested, and we've been able to send some of our staff to math training, which I think we're looking at, that's one of our biggest areas of concerns for our staff and our students, getting our teachers trained in the area of math so that they can implement the instruction at that level. The lead measures are going to be part of the process that we're implementing there as well, so that our principals are in the classrooms viewing what instruction looks like for each of the teachers, and then providing that immediate feedback. At the district level, my department, all of my supervisors and directors are going into the classroom and looking to see what additional supports we need to provide, professional development or additional trainings or data reviews with the staff members as well.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I appreciate this, Mrs. Notre Dame. What, is it in the morning that they're taking this test? Is it in math class? Is it English? When is this test being assessed?
So it varies on the classroom site and the time that they have available. I know at the elementary sites, it's typically in the morning that everybody tries to assess their students. Each school site has it designated the class that they're going to take the assessment in. We have encouraged from the district level that, there is a conversation to take this serious, that we're looking at their scores as, you know, our principal at the mid school did say, you know, if where you score is gonna land you in support services, and if you don't wanna be in those support services, we're gonna do well on this test, so let's take this a little more seriously than just as it's an assessment that we have to go through.
In your opinion, do we have enough support services for these kind of numbers?
I believe right now we do. When you look at historically our beginning of year interim assessment data, typically it is lower than what you would see mid-year. Mid-year, we want to see additional growth. Our staff are going to be administering the lesson plans that are part of this in there, so we can see where students are starting to grow. And we can address it before we get to the mid-year, but mid-year, we should see that increase in there.
And Vice President Spray, if I may,
Please.
it's like going to the doctor for your first checkup and getting those first scores of your, and I know maybe oversimplification, but your first cholesterol scores, your first sugar scores. And this is the initial data that's gonna help guide our campus principals to making sure that these instructional strategies are gonna be in place to specifically address these so that the mid-year scores can show improvements.
It looks like there's a big decrease between third grade and fourth grade. What do you attribute that to?
Right now, I wouldn't be able to speak on what that would be if I'm.
Is that
to be honest
typical?
with you. It could be when we're looking at our grade level, content area that's being implemented for the students, that could be one of the issues. What our principals have been trained on and some of our teachers have been trained on is really looking at their data to view and see what those issues are. So having those deep data conversations about each individual student or their classes and seeing where we're lacking in our instruction or what we need to beef up for these students. Our main area is our math, reading. We have supports across the board. We do have an interventionist for math. We're waiting for him to come on board into the program so that we can start supporting the classrooms.
Based on this data.
Will this person go all through the grade levels, or is this person trained mostly in elementary, or?
Mostly in elementary, but we do have a position open for secondary and have had some interest expressed in it. We're waiting for people to apply for the position. This person will be looking specifically at students that he can start targeting. So we're gonna have a priority list that he's working with each of the school sites and each of the grade levels to start targeting students.
Okay, do you think maybe by the meeting that we have on the 25th, could you just give us sort of an update on if we have positions that are still unfilled? I know you did on your report, but I can't recall it out of my
So
memory.
at tonight's board meeting, Ms. Winter will be giving an update on our vacancies.
She will, okay, perfect, thank you. And I just didn't remember. Couldn't remember, I knew that there were a few, but I wasn't sure where they were. All right, well, this is really horrible, but good to have to know about.
We're
I mean-
embracing it and, you know, there's leaning into it and seeing what we can do about it. It's better to have information than to not, or to ignore it, and we're definitely not ignoring it, nor are our school site administrators or our teachers. And, you know, I want to give credit to our administrators for doing those walkthroughs. That's huge when we're able to give a teacher that feedback, so that they can start looking at their instruction and, you know, see, am I hitting the content and my standards during that lesson, or do I need to make those adjustments?
Okay, well, thank you. All right, let's see, where are we now?
Okay, next slide.
Yeah.
Is graduation rates are preliminary. And it's very tiny. We're district-wide, we are at remember, again, this is preliminary. We are at 69% graduation for the district. Our male and female, where male is 58%. I think we've kind of seen that typically for our male students. It's more of a challenge to complete high school, there's other issues that are going on, and I believe our SEL supports and restorative justice has been doing some work last year, and this year they'll continue to help support that. Restorative justice has partnered up with, our athletic director, and they're going to start bringing in some of our high at-risk students to help keep them in school and start, talking about the importance of completing their courses. Our African-American population is at 66%, keeping in mind that that's a very small number that we have. Caucasian was at 66%. Our Asian was at 100%. Of course, again, small percentage that we do have. So some of these are a bit off. Our Hispanic population was at 66%. Our Native American population is at 84%, and this will be in my Indian education report when I do our annual reporting for the district, that from what I've seen statewide, our Native American students have been scoring higher or graduating at a higher percentage rate than what New Mexico has typically done. So that was one of our highlights for that program, and that's because of the collaboration with Cal Pueblo. Where EL learners are 68%. Reduced and low income, free and reduced and low income are 69%. Students with disabilities are 60%. Our homeless status is 53%. Homeless status is a bit more challenging for the district and for our school sites, because what happens with our students is our homeless students are counted as Dream Tree students as well. And so they can move into our district, they're counted on our rolls, and then move out of our district and counted on that other district's roll. So they're part of our district and part of another school district. So if they don't, complete school because of what the other school district was doing, it still counts against us. And, that's just been an overall concern for all of the districts, that's how it's counted. But, that's what I'm seeing that one as. Foster is 4%, migrant status, we didn't have any students in there. Economically disadvantaged was 60%. We did not have any military families, and gifted participation was 73%. What you have up next is Taos High, and their graduation rate was at 70%. So they are higher than the overall district. And keeping in mind that the other one that is counted is Cyber Magnet, and because they have such a small population, it drops down the percentages, unfortunately. Again, going through, some of the rates are a bit higher at the school site rather than at just the district. Maria, the next slide. So Cyber Magnet was at 72% of graduation rate. Cyber Magnet was listed as a CSI school, but unfortunately they were listed as that because of the graduation rate, but they're at such a small population that it doesn't make sense that they're listed as a CSI school. If we had two students that were supposed to graduate, one of them didn't graduate, our graduation rate is at 50%, which doesn't make any sense for us. There has to be some understanding of what our school populations look like, and this is one of the things that Dr. Layton had reached out to PED to have that conversation with them. And they did hear that, I want to say, and that's going to be one of the components that they're looking at when they come back and re-release what our rankings look like. With that, I stand for any questions in graduation.
Or do you have any questions? Ms. Mondragon?
What is CSI? What is that acronym for?
Crime scene investigation.
If you can follow up with Dr. Layton. you can-
I'll follow up
Yeah.
with Dr. Layton and provide you with that. My apologies.
President Flores and the board, what I do want to commend is that one of the reasons we have the Indian education up in Zell, because we did see a huge increase specifically to graduation rates. And I wanted to commend the education in the area, especially the curriculum instructors in San Juan, for helping ensure that that's an increase. It's been a big priority for us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Appreciate that.
Renetta, could you repeat the homeless percentage again, please? I missed it.
Yes.
Thank you.
So district-wide, our homeless was at 53%.
53. Thank you.
What about
Mrs. Montague, I said the Dream Tree, are we getting, the students that are coming in with Dream Tree, is that regards, us getting funding, are we getting funding for those students, or how does that work?
Our funding for Dream Tree students comes through Title I, so we look at our accounts for there when we're doing our end of year reporting. So we can provide homeless services or some other supports that we can allocate money for these students. The issue that we typically have for students who move in and out and are considered homeless through that program is we're trying to catch them up on their schooling. So we're going back, our special education is looking for IEPs. So typically their IEPs have been lost for 2 or 3 years, and we're digging through the PED rules to see if they had any IEPs. And we've found a few that, their IEPs got dropped when they were in, whatever grade, elementary or mid school, and now they're in high school and they haven't received services because nobody's looked back to help them make sure that they had IEPs in place. We also do, and this is through our federal programs director, Ms. Eager, is looking at credits and what that looks like for the students also, and how we can make sure that they're receiving all of their credits and provide them with the supports in the school site if need be.
So do you have a count right now? I said Dream Tree, how many students are over there?
I do not have a count right now, but I can get that number for you and then I can provide it to superintendent.
What has it been historically?
It-
Last year, it varies.
Yeah, we fluctuate between like 6 or 7, depending on the year. Our COVID years, we did have a higher number. They were bringing in from other facilities and trying to house them. I think they were trying to up their numbers. So those were students that were in between districts, and it's kind of gone down a little bit where they're supporting more of our students and direct housing. So we're not seeing students that are coming in from outside of the district.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Anyone have any other questions for Ms. Mondragon?
Just the
Go back
comment.
to Layton. Yes, what's the comment?
I mean, just tracking the data and just getting it right, because again, it always tells a story. And I think that it's important that it's very clear that to us, because it means money for one, but also where the needs are and where the kids are.
Right.
Where are they in all of this process? And because we can look at numbers and numbers and numbers, but these numbers are lives, they're children. And to me, to us, that is what's important, that we care enough to be able to not just count them, but find them and help them and just build a good person.
Right.
Build a good person and I don't know what else to say. It's overwhelming in a sense to see the data and but hopefully, yeah, it'll reflect by the end of the year, it'll tell a different story.
And to echo off of what you said, Secretary Trujillo, this goes back to the lead measures that we took a look at the data at the beginning of the school year, and each of our school sites made a goal, and not just looking at, overall scores, but really looking at individual students and how many students would it take to move them up. And,
Yes.
that was exactly how we made our lead score or our WIGs, was to make sure that we were looking at how many number of students were not proficient and how many we could move into proficiency.
If I may,
Yes.
the way you reacted to the scores is exactly how our campus administrators reacted. With the sense of urgency that, we had some that didn't even want to say what their score was, but we have to acknowledge the good, the bad, and the ugly to make sure that we develop good plans that ensure that our kids are receiving the instruction and the support along with that instruction so that we can increase it. So as hard as it is to see, it's also a good thing to see, and that makes sure that we're making sure that we see everything, including how to create that support system.
Need to be full steam ahead, for sure. Do you know roughly how many students we have in the district right now?
Last I checked, it was 1,801.
Thanks, let's look rounded at 18. Thank you. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Mondragon.
I'll stay upstairs if I go there.
I know you're next. We're now on.
It'll
item-
be quick though.
We're on item I, which is district update. IA is community schools update from Renetta Mondragon, Associate Superintendent.
Is there another?
Yeah.
Hold on. I don't think that one. Maybe email it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I got relaxed, but you were sitting right next to me. All right. Superintendent Layton would like a break.
Oh, yes. I
Everyone like.
need a motion or
break?
just a, I said a verbal, a five or how
Make a
long?
motion on it, should we make a motion on it? 5 minutes.
We can just, right,
Let's, just try to formal, start a motion to take a 5-minute break.
Second,
yes, all of, yes,
is that one we can just go yes?
yeah.
All in favor?
All in
Aye.
favor?
Yes, aye.
Okay.
Not yet, but give it a second.
Stretch
I
out.
did,
So it could be about more,
and I'll check if Esther has one.
Have they?
I'll stand up.
Like at Tuesday,
Oh. Awesome.
and Billy lied to her and said that we wanted to talk to him, so she'd come along with her to talk to me about something, so she thought he was in trouble. She was shocked. It was awesome.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's-
We have, oh yay, now she's. Now she's back. She hasn't participated, just making sure she wasn't. Or even want to ask her, if she had something, ask her. She goes, oh, no, she is. Or maybe she was.
Miss Wicked.
I was doing probably something on about the parking.
Hello, my customers are. When they go and pick up food to go to the outreach, they're like, really, $2 to pick up food, and just people are beside them, so they can get trust. Maybe they could be up for 15 minutes, pick up, like, you know, how Polly Ray has, 15 minutes right there in front of the place, only for going in and out, and you'll get towed if you're more than that. It was a bad time to implement it with the roads.
Almost died.
It should be down already. Like 8:00 start now.
They're like, oh.
Is it still?
The other night I was like, oh,
There was
perfect. It's still bad. Oh my God, it's only 8. Yeah.
Luckily, Remy only get us.
Where's the time sheet?
Yeah, now.
Yes, we knew it's here.
It used to be right around Halloween. Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to look there.
I keep seeing how the light.
Nancy. I think you're on. I can't remember on this place, a big laptop. There is actually.
I think we'll try to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a show called Lost in Space when I grew up.
7:35 on there.
And
On the line.
Have a.
Tell your son that.
We want to be out by 9.
Okay,
Yeah.
our 5-minute break is 10 minutes, is 5 minutes late. We're working over Taos time on our 5-minute break. All right, we're gonna resume the meeting, and Renetta, you're back up again. You're back up again for round 2,
We got it all going.
Community schools.
community school.
Okay, community schools. So I came to Superintendent Lee and I told him, you have to put me on the board agenda. I need to share with the board and with the community what a phenomenal job our community schools are doing. I have the pleasure of meeting with them every Friday, which I'm glad I do meet with them. I mean, sometimes I want to cancel that meeting and how, oh, it's the end of the week, why do we have to meet? But I'm happy that I do because all the work that they're doing and they report out in our meeting that they're doing just makes it all worthwhile. It's the reason why we have community schools. It's all of the additional supports that we're doing, and they can point out individual students that we're supporting, you know, giving this one kid a pair of shoes and the student being happy that it wasn't, you know, a used pair of shoes. They were able to purchase brand new shoes for them, or our high school having a whole clothing rack and kids can just pick off of that clothing rack. They don't have to go and ask or feel embarrassed that they don't have those supports. It's there for them. And these women are phenomenal. So I'm so happy that he allowed me the opportunity to present to you all. I will keep it short because I know we had a long night. But community schools highlights, we are finally fully staffed at all of our school sites. We've been able to get the food depot into 4 of our school sites. One of our school sites is working on it. They weren't able to, the Santa Fe Food Depot wasn't able to come in and help them out right now, but they looked at other resources to help provide the food supports that the families are needing. Taos Middle School, Taos High School, and Ranchos Elementary are purchasing materials to stock their community schools. So we're looking at clothing racks, we're looking at products for our students to have, like shampoo, deodorant, clothing, food products, whatever it is that they need. They're gonna have those resources there for them to go ahead and take school supply resources as well. Ranchos Elementary and Taos Mid School sites are collaborating with Michael Rosenberry to install greenhouses at their school sites. So we'll have all of Taos Municipal Schools with the greenhouse and growing beds, which was one of our goals for the full service community schools grant, our federal grant. So we've already met that goal, or we'll be meeting that goal now. Michael is also going to start working with all of our school sites to provide after school meals for our students. The after school programs, our coordinators have been working so hard to get them up and running. We're still need a little more direction at our mid school, but all of our other school sites have program up and running in some form or another. They're collaborating with our community to bring in some of their after school programs as well. So it's not just on the school site that they have to provide staff or, you know, go out and look for volunteers. There's some other, like the Vivo tutoring that is coming into our school district. All sites are distributing school or food in one form or another to families. We've had quite a few of our students that are in need of the sacks that they take home. They can pick and choose. Our community schools coordinators have made it available so the kids can pick what they want to take. And they're sharing between the school sites also, which I was so happy to hear. You know, they have their weekly meeting every Tuesday and they talk with each other to say what they have and then share that with the entire group. All of our school sites, again, like I said, are working with the after school programming. ENOS is working with the Keeler Foundation to provide additional reading tutoring services to the students. We're going to look at expanding that out to Arroyo del Norte. Hopefully next year, not this year, we're being piloting it at Ranchos and ENOS, but looking to expand to Arroyos as well. And then all of them are working to create a list of community volunteers.
And I know this has been an ask of the school board. Superintendent Lincoln has also asked us to do that as well. So they're coming up with a list of volunteers that we're going to get background checked. And we'll be able to, you know, call them if we need those supports, or they can come in and we have some resources that they want to provide to the school district. Maria, next slide. Some of the programs, Santa Fe Food Depot, our greenhouses, they worked with the open house, collaboration with their school sites. They've provided student surveys. One of our most successful surveys that we've had, and I had to share with them that, you know, we saw as a district an increase in students at the high school eating the cafeteria food. It was reported out by our director from security and operations. He said that we had an increase in students eating at the high school. And I'm going to attribute this to the survey that was sent out by our community schools coordinator, where she asked the students, what do you like to eat? And the kids went through, checked off everything that they didn't like, circled everything that they did like, and the student nutrition program was able to take that information and start implementing those menus for the students. And I think I'm going to say that that was, you know, a catalyst for that increase. Our after-school programs, again, the collaborations with the Keeler Foundation, the Town and Towns for our ski project is going to occur in December, where our students who have not been able to participate in the school ski program because of money or whatever reason, we're going to provide them with a ski day, and our community schools coordinators are working to put that together. And it looks like December is going to be the day that we do that. Task Community Foundation, our summer program, they worked together to make sure that we had summer programming for the district and for our students in the community. And that was really a collaboration between multiple organizations. So again, it wasn't put on just a school site. We were doing what the community schools is supposed to actually do, is go out to the community and see what resources we can bring into the school sites. St. James, of course, is a phenomenal partner, nonstop. They, you know, provide us with the meals or anything else that we need for our students. They're always willing to collaborate with us. Next slide, Megan. So upcoming, and I know Superintendent Layton had requested our reports from last year. I was able to provide them to him. It took a little bit longer than what I had liked. PED, unfortunately, when we put them into their system, pulling it back out is a challenge, but our principals did have a hard copy, so we were able to provide those to you for the reporting of the New Mexico reports that we have to do. But we do have our state and federal. We're starting our reporting sooner rather than later. So the ask from the coordinators and the principals has been to let's start taking a look at what the requests are and our data, so that when we get to February and March, we're not scrambling to find that information. So it's been a collaboration between multiple departments, our nursing, our SEL, our data team has had to do that. Attendance is also one of those big ones, and then family engagement as well. There is a Washington DC conference coming up. Our assessment of the federal program, so we've begun that. You did approve that contract for us this summer. So they've begun their assessment of our federal program for right now. When we do run out of our state funding, our 2 state school sites will roll into that federal grants for us. We're utilizing our grant writer for the district to find additional grants to help support each of those school sites. And then we're also planning professional development for our community schools coordinators. We have provided them with small professional development so that they have an understanding of the district operations and they're able to move through our processes smoothly so that the services aren't delayed. But we're looking at some bigger professional development for them. And with that, I stand for questions.
Thank you. Good job. Does anyone have any, board member King, your regular question?
Well, I just have a comment and, you know, you hear about, you know, not to pick on Albuquerque, but, you know, they have, everyone gets tennis shoes, you know, and it's great. Kids are all happy, but this seems to be more strategic, smarter and saving resources. Some kids don't need tennis shoes, and it's great that the kids who do need it are getting that. And it's a little bit more private. I think it's, so I compliment you on that, we have this source, the kids know it. And it sounds like to me it's working, so congratulations.
Thank you, and really the compliments go to our coordinators. I would hope that we can bring them at some point so that you can meet them. Naomi Martinez is our high school coordinator. She has the best rapport with our high school students, and having wonderful ideas on how to support them. She really gets the kids, and the kids love her. We have Loretta Gonzalez, I believe it is. Yes, Loretta Gonzalez at mid school, and she's worked with the mid school for several years. She used to be one of their substitutes, so she has an understanding of the school site. And then Melissa Smith at Arroyo del Norte, Martha at Romero at Enos, you all remember her, Martha, and then Melissa Montoya at Ranchos Elementary. And some of them are new and they're learning it, but hopefully these are just they're powerhouses, and I'm so pleased to have them in the program. And the little that we've done and the little bit of time that we had, we're only in a month of school, a month and a half maybe, and they've already put all of these things together. So, hats off to them. They're phenomenal.
And they're tough saying this. I know Loretta, and she was subbing, and our daughter went through last year, and it's great that Loretta has found a niche, because the people don't know, Superintendent Layton, just let you know, her dad did the transportation.
Yeah.
He had Faustine and now his son. And that's what you need, people who are from Taos can talk to the kids, can talk to them in Spanish, and just, not make a big deal, but knows the cracks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's great that she's found, because subbing, she was kind of getting bumped around. She was a long-term sub, and she's got a title now. But,
Yes, and she's doing phenomenal, and her connections to transportation has come in handy for Taos Middle School when they needed, to ask some questions of where some buses or whatever. She's been able to say, oh, here's what it is. So, her skill set is coming in handy for the program as well.
What's the old saying? It's not what you know, it's who you know, right?
Yes. Part of
Thank
it.
you. You've done a good job for a long time standing up there.
Good
job. Yes,
I have a question.
yes.
Ms. Montalban, in regards to receiving of donations or needed items, does the district have like a list? It's that lists all the possible needs. Is that something that we can put out to the community?
Yes, and our high school, me, of course, she likes to take on things and she runs with it. She is coming up with a list, and in one of my slides, I do have one of her flyers there. Some of the things that they are looking for is professional clothing for our students. So when they go out to do their internships, they can dress professionally for themselves. So we have one of those lists. She has another clothing list, and then food items that they're looking for, and then there was one other one, I think it was school supplies that she also has. So we're going to be putting those out, but she has those of what it is.
When that list is completed, would it be possible that the board get provided a copy of that, and then if possible, work with the Taos News to maybe get that published out there so we can get the word out to the public to see if we could get an influx of those items of need?
Absolutely. I will provide those to superintendent.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Suarez. Secretary Trujillo.
Ms. Mondragon, is this kind of linked to the homeless also? Is it available to the homeless, or is it linked with a homeless fund? Because if donations do come in, monetary donations, do they get deposited into the homeless fund, or is there a separate fund?
So it's a separate fund, but our homeless students do benefit from this program.
Okay.
So if you want to donate specifically to our homeless students, there is a specific fund for them. In fact, that's one of the important things that I think Superintendent Layton did, was put all of the programming for instructional underneath one umbrella so that we can have those conversations of what is needed and which program is it going to come out of. Or if it's a specific student, what funds can we pull from? So, you know, we do have that fund, that we've had some generous donors and it's there. In fact, we just drew on it because we had a couple of students that were identified by our community schools coordinators and we were able to pull from there. So it really is looking at all of our funds and how we can support our programs. So we're not just drawing on one fund and draining that one out. So yes, there are separate funds, but our students do benefit from that one program.
So the donation money would go into what fund?
So if it's community schools, it would go to the community.
To the community school fund.
Yes.
And then if it's homeless, it'll
It
go
would
to the
go
homeless,
to the homeless.
but then the homeless kids will benefit from this other. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Thank you so
You're
much.
Thank you, Secretary Trujillo. Anyone have any other questions for Ms. Mondragon? No? Okay, thank you again. You did a really good job.
Thank you.
All right.
I was trying to say.
Also, Member Concha, I see that you're on Zoom right now. If you have anything you want to say or add, if you could raise your hand or let Maria know, I'd be so happy to hear from you. Or just speak up if you feel like it. But go ahead.
I'm here, yeah, I'm listening. I did give a comment on Dr. Medina's report and yeah, I think just what we're seeing now is progressive and it's great to be able to see all the progress. I kind of feel like I've been missing out on a lot, and so all these updates and reports are very informative. So thank you to everyone who's presented so far.
Well, we're also glad you're here. Sometimes I looked up and I didn't think you were there and then you're there again now. So I wanted to shout it out that you're here and thank you. We're good to have you with us. Very good to have you with us. All right, we're still on I district update. Now we're on IB, human resources and vacancies update by Esther Winter, Director of Human Resources. Esther, are you online?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Welcome.
Thank you. President Flores, Superintendent Dr. Layton, board members. Thank you. And I'm hoping that you're able to hear. I'm kind of in a dark spot, so forgive me for wearing my funky glasses because it's a little bit hard for me to see. But anyway, I just wanted to go over with what's been happening as far as our employment movement. We have experienced a lot of movement, a lot of internal vacancies, voluntary vacancies, just a lot of movement. Since July 1st of now this starting of this fiscal year, we have hired a total of 42.5 employees. Of the 42.5 employees, 8 of those employees are administrators. And then I can break it down for you as I go as well. 5 of those employees are other, such as attendance coaches, community schools, employees. 17.5 teachers, 6.6 at Taos High School, 4.0, and these are FTEs. So when I say 6.6, that's 6.6 FTEs. Teachers at Taos High School, 4.0 at Taos Middle School, 4.0 at Enos, 1.0 Ranchos Elementary, 1.8 at Arroyos. Total of 17.5 teachers, 3.0 educational assistants, 2 at Ranchos Elementary and 1 at Enos. We are waiting on a few of those candidates. They're waiting to pass the Parapro exam, and then we'll add a few more of those as far as educational assistants. We have hired a total of 4 other employees, such as a financial specialist, executive secretary, receptionist. and that would be at the central office. 2 maintenance staff members district-wide, 1 custodian, and 2 security guards. And if you have any questions on any of the new hires, and then if not, I can move on to what we have open at this time. If there are no questions, I can move on and then I can answer questions at the end if you'd like.
Esther, board member King has a
Hi,
question.
Mrs. Winter, after the administrator, there was 8. What was the next category and how many was it?
I have it under as other and 5 other staff members, which would include our attendance coaches, community school members, and I believe we may have on that. Actually, that total 5 it also includes, an attendance coach, 2 community school members, and I believe it was one of our coaches. I'm sorry, not our coach, but our oh my goodness, I'm losing it. One of our forgive me. We used to refer to them as coaches, and I'm sorry if it's missing me right now.
Or an athletic coach?
No, I'm sorry. I believe an interventionist, forgive me.
Okay,
It's under the 5. Sorry about that.
it's late. Don't worry.
And of the administrators of the 8, that would include a vice principal, Taos Middle School, dean of instruction at Taos High School, transportation supervisor, student nutrition supervisor. That would also include our interim athletic director. And that falls under our 8 administrators. That answer your question, Mr. King?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so of the new hires that the numbers that I gave you, that is 42.5 members. Open positions right now, we have a total of 16.0 FTEs open right now. 11 of those are teachers, 2 at Taos High School, 2 at Taos Middle School, 2 at Enos, 3 at Arroyos Elementary, none at Arroyos, and we have no other as far as teachers go. Other district employees, we have 3. We have like CLSD pre-K, a math secondary interventionist, and a community schools coordinator at this time, 1 financial specialist, and 1 assistant principal at Ranchos Elementary. So that is a total of 16 positions right now. If you need for me to give you more details as far as what those open positions are, I can let you know exactly what those open positions are if you'd like. Mr. Flores, I'm not sure if that's something you'd like for me to do.
Thank you, Ms. Winters. I arrived at the meeting late, so Vice President Spray is filling in for me, and I'm allowing her, or she is going to continue with the meeting. No, you're fine. I do have 1 question though, in regards to those 16 open positions. Are those currently posted for hire?
Yes, correct. And a few of those positions have already been interviewed, and the principals and directors are finalizing references. And I understand from Sandra today that a couple of those teaching positions are actually are in process to move to the level of hire, and the others are still open. Some of the positions, like we have the teacher, we have a brand new AVID teacher at Taos Middle School. That's a new position. We also have a pre-K teacher at Enos, and right now we're waiting to fill that position. So the individual who requested a transfer to Taos High School could be transferred. And that position right now, I know that there were 2 qualified individuals for that position. We have a computer concepts position at Taos Middle School, our teacher that was in that position transferred into our math interventionist, and we are awaiting an individual to apply for that position. We also have a secondary Native American liaison position, which is a certified position. And we hired somebody and then the person declined. And so that has been an open position. We still have a high school PE position open. We also have, we had a late resignation, which at Ranchos Elementary, a SPED teacher position. That is one of the 3 that is open at Ranchos. And we also have an elementary teacher position at Ranchos. We have a brand new position of CLSD pre-K reading coach open, an elementary dual language teacher at Enos. And I understand that we have 2 of those dual language positions, 2 teachers that are right now getting their approval for return to work for that position. And so that I anticipate somebody applying for that real soon. We also have a special ed teacher resource room at Enos. And then a secondary math interventionist, which I understand is also a new position. And then we have a Taos High School special ed math teacher. That position has been open since this summer. And so that would encompass the open positions of teaching at this time, Mr. Flores.
Thank you, Ms. Winters.
Yes, of course.
Does
Are there
anyone else have?
questions?
Yes, Ms. Winters, it sounds like to me, have we kind of moved forward with not having a problem of the long-term sub from the English department for the English for the freshman and sophomore? I think it was 1 for English and 1 for math. Seems like the number for the high school now is down to 2.
Yes, that is correct. 2 certified positions at Taos High School.
That's left open.
Yes. We recently, just this past week, we hired 2 of the positions at Taos High School. One of them is a science position, Mr. Harris. And I believe we also hired, my goodness, I'm so sorry. I just have so many right now that names all over my sheet. But I figured out it's the most.
Mrs. King. Her name is Para King from UNM.
Yes, correct. Farrelly King, correct.
We just had our advisory meeting, don't worry.
For remembering that.
That's great. I appreciate it, Mrs. Winters.
Yes, of course. Are there any other questions from any of the board members?
No, thank you, Esther. It sounds like everyone has asked all their questions, and thank you so much for your report.
Of course. Thank you. You have a good evening.
You too.
Don't stay up too late.
You too.
Thank
Yeah, right.
Thanks.
Great. Good night.
All right. Let me get the points, please. Okay. Item J, Superintendent Update, Dr. Antonio Layton Jr.
Alrighty, Vice President Sprague, President Flores, members of the board, I do have a presentation that's up. So,
All right.
let's see. I must compliment Ms. Mondragon for her choice of background slides, because we wound up choosing the same, so.
Please bear on that.
So, starting first with our cell policy update. I wanted to give you essentially, Maria, if you can, thank you. A couple of, just incidents and a couple of testimonials. We had a parent volunteer, who goes to Flex Fridays, and they come from the Kit Carson. And they came to show students how to build computers from scratch. And at the Rotary meeting that I had this past Wednesday, a week ago today, they provided some insight into what they've been seeing when they go to the campus. And what they noted was for the 15 to 20 minutes that they were there, that students were engaged, they were communicating, they were collaborating, they were working together to build these computers from scratch. But he said, one point I didn't see once being pulled out. And so that goes to one of our goals, which was to increase student engagement academically. And so it was great to hear that. It was completely out of the blue. I was out there at the Rotary Club, just, introducing myself. But it was nice to hear that as a parent and he spoke as a parent, but he also spoke as a representative from a company. Saying for Kid Carson, saying, it's good to see that our kids are engaging because that's what they can expect when they do go out into the real world. And so, Member King was there, so we did get a chance to hear.
I sent you a photo. Did you
Yes,
get it on
I got it, we'll be putting that up there. But it was great to hear that that is part of our goal. And that's a little bit of testimony to the cell phone policy that we've had implemented, and that the high school is implementing with fidelity. From both campuses, the middle school and the high school, our administration has seen increased student social engagement, not only in the hallways, but more specifically during lunch. You don't see the kids at the tables just looking at their phones, even though they're next to each other. Now they're actually engaging in conversation. And so we think about the student who may be an introvert, maybe the phone was their only connection to the outside world. Well, now these conversations are able to be struck up between students and hopefully re-engage, not just, doesn't mean they're gonna change from being an introvert to an extrovert, but at least engage in conversation with somebody of their age, somebody who's next to them, outside of the 4-inch or the 6-inch screen. So there's a couple of testimonials there. We did have an incident at one of our campuses, and it was between 2 young ladies. And I bring this up because typically what you would see an incident like that is students pull out 4 or 5, and students would pull out phones to record. And then, of course, campus administrators and teachers are now having to deal with the residual effects of an incident where the 2 students not get along. But I will say in that incident, it was dealt with quickly and swiftly, but at the same token, there were no phones that were seen out recording. So instruction came back to normal time, and campus administrators were able to continue their walkthroughs, teachers were able to continue teaching without having to deal with all the residual impact of, well, my friend was there and your friend was there, it was my cousin that you spoke to that way. So we're seeing some of the re-engagement socially, and we're also seeing the impact that we were hoping to see with behavior issues. What I will say is my hope is at the next board meeting, if not the one after that, I want to pull data from last year compared to this year when it comes to disciplinary issues to see if we're seeing some of that impact. We're hoping to see lower incidents, but only the data will be able to tell. Since it was fully implemented the day after Labor Day, 7 days wouldn't be enough. So we want to give it some time to see if we can make that comparable data and see if I can present that to you either at the September 25th or first week of October. So we can see some fruition for that. Any questions on the cell phone before I to the teachers? Okay. So one of our last discussions with one of the companies that we're working with in different areas, we are in the process of submitting to the New Mexico Public School Facilities, so the PSFA, along with the PSCOC. I'm working on all those acronyms, but they're pretty good. But nonetheless, to put in a pilot teacher housing application. Now, I do want to say with some caveat that it does come from state capital outlay, and the coverage is about 10%. And so that's one, at least process that we're starting, not because we're guaranteed or anything, but at least we're starting the process should the district decide to go this route. Now, what I do want to say is, we had a regional meeting at Mesa Vista, and one of the discussions that is specifically about teacher housing. And having said that, on the teacher housing, one of the topics that came up was subsidizing rental costs. And it did pique our interest. And so I tasked our director of safety and security and operations to go ahead and look at what are those possibilities? What does that look like? And just like running initial numbers, and this is by no means anything official. I'm just saying that if it were to cost us about $2 million to do teacherage, but yet if we subsidize, it potentially could be up to 10 years before they even equal. So does it behoove us to even contemplate subsidizing rental or housing at this time? But what I will say, there's some pros and cons. Obviously, one of them would be if we decide to go teacherage, so to speak, there's maintenance, possible another position to cover that, liabilities and so on and so forth, whereas subsidization possibly that's just I guess you could consider like a stipend to a certain amount of employees that we could subsidize the cost of living here at Taos. And this would be specific to our instructional classrooms with teachers and educational aides. So it's something we're looking at possibly. But what I will say, this is one of the reasons why I was recommending that perhaps do a subcommittee from our land committee. And the reason I say this because it may not involve land. If it is, we do by the way of subsidization. And so if we do by that, I was recommending that we have a subcommittee so that we can look at, is that even a possibility, so that that recommendation could go back to the board. So any questions on teacher's update? But we're trying to go multiple levels. We're finding out all our possibilities so we can make the best decision possible for our district and our teachers. And we're centered around recruitment and retention, not just about recruiting, but also keeping the ones that we do have.
No, I like the idea. It's the thing where and you know, you being new in town and all the board members living here for many years. You know, the quality of the rental. I mean, there's some people that have decent rental. Once again, the neighborhood and, you know, it's, it almost like housing, like the Northern Regional Housing they have. They have a home inspector that comes in and checks the house. So those things are where you get new housing, you kind of know that it's up to par. Yeah, and the neighborhood is, you know, it's inviting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. No other comments for Dr. Layton on this right now?
No, it sounds great.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Proceed,
So
please.
the other component that we're looking at as part of the update is we're looking at bringing back Chrysalis. And so getting campus feedback from the secondary schools. There was a request to see if we could look into this, if that's a possibility. So we're looking at different options from portables at the high school to the Cañon building. We did take a visit. I did go over there and walk. It was very interesting to see the inside of it. I will say that. Looking at the inside of Cañon, it almost looks like from one day to the next, like the staff and the students just disappeared. Like you literally saw writing on some of the dry erase and chalkboard. But I will say it's a facility worth looking into to see what we can do about it. And so we're looking at the possibilities, cost obviously being a driving force, but our hope is that it is going to be a separate campus. And if it does, when it does begin, it'll begin in January. So we need to make sure that we're making sure to take care of our kids and our staff. And it won't be an extension of a school, for example, the high school or middle school. It will be a self-sustaining campus itself. So we're looking at that potential. We're going to do a cost analysis, looking at the different components of it. What would it take to staff it? What would some of the potential issues come about? And then we'll bring back the recommendation that we're going to have at opening the facility.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You must sense a need for it, or we wouldn't be going down this road.
The need is coming back from the feedback from our campus administrators. And
Okay.
so we want to make sure and support our campuses as best as possible. And quite frankly, you know, we do have students that need a smaller setting. And maybe, you know, we're thinking about their success in turn. So if a smaller setting can benefit them educational wise, you know, why not? Why not look at this? Okay.
All right, anyone have any, board member King?
What's your idea of like the ideal amount of students at that location?
Well, initial ones, we could have slots of 5 to 5, maybe 5 from the middle school, 5 from the high school, or 4 to 6, something that we can initiate with. And if it is a smaller setting, we'd have to have a cap, obviously, for obvious reasons. We're not gonna have a full, you know, 30, 40. But some of the discussions have been around a 4, 6, 4 for the middle school and 6 for the high school. Smaller settings, and ensuring that, of course, the education wise is appropriate for the age level.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions?
Quick question.
Yes, sir. Yes, President.
In walking the facility, Superintendent Layton, the condition of the building, how did that look?
Other than very dusty, very cobwebby, the ceiling looks great, actually. I was surprised that I was expecting to see holes or something coming in or maybe indications of water leaking through the seams, but I didn't see anything. What I did see was a lot of our conduits, electrical, brand new, it looked like brand new. You know, you can tell the difference between conduits and been there for a while. The exhaust to the kitchen looked brand new as well. And just from upon inspection, of course, without having to go into the machinery, but even the air conditioning, the unit on the top, it looked pretty new. I mean, I guess I don't know if it works or not. I didn't flip the switch. I didn't want to make sure that it cross any wires there, but it looked very functional. And so I think it is something to consider, whether it winds up being Chrysalis or a facility that we can use. I think it merits looking into. I will say some of the trees that were facing the north end, and I don't want to upset anybody who loves trees, but if you were able to do some cutting there, you have a beautiful view of the mountains from there. The south end of it has plenty of room for parking as well. So it is a possibility, but what we'd like to do is, it's like an analysis. What is it? How can we best use the facility that is there? And then what would it cost to, once we decide how we would use it, what would it cost to remake it into that? Whether it's teacherage, whether it's a Chrysalis, or whether it's a facility that we can utilize for other departments. And something with a cost analysis.
Superintendent, Secretary Trujillo, sorry.
Superintendent Layton, what is the, who owns this building?
We do.
We
Yeah,
own
it's a
that
district.
building?
It's a district building, yes, ma'am.
And so what initially prompted this conversation?
This, also, one of the things that Chrysalis was the feedback from our administration, of like, we need a facility to see if we can reopen again.
Okay, you did say that.
And so that was one, and then so we said, what do we have out there?
Okay,
And then it was like portables, and then we said, well, let's look at the building. I know, members of the board have been saying, you know, you should take a quick visit out there, see what it's really like. There's a lot of history there, and I think we can take advantage of it. And if it's something that would be at a lower cost to use as opposed to making something new, that's also a possibility, maximizing our resources that we currently have.
exactly, thank you, yes.
Thank you, Secretary Trujillo. So Dr. Layton, is the next step, you're gonna come back to us after you've done a cost analysis, or
Yes,
is
ma'am.
that where we're going with it?
That's exactly what we're gonna go with this. We'll
Okay.
come back and let you know what we're thinking of Chrysalis, and then seeing what is that possibility for the facility. And so that's part of the recommendation also on the subcommittee to discuss that. Is it better used for teachers? Is it something we can consider? But that, I just look at it as a facility that we have as a district. How can we use this to our advantage? How can we use this to maximize space and perhaps maximize instruction?
We appreciate your forward thinking, and we have a facilities expert sitting right here. If you need to take him for a little drive, go look at it.
I charge.
Oh my gosh, well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Would you be willing to proceed?
Yes, ma'am. And lastly, on my superintendent's update report, we're gonna be looking at digitizing our board agendas and minutes on an online platform. We're looking at a couple of different ones. There's one in particular that we're contemplating here, Diligent Board Docs. It's a newer version, but there's a workflow process so that anybody who's submitting agenda items goes through a approval process. So if they're lacking any documents or signs or whatever information, it can be sent back until it gets done. So that's just one process I like about it, because that workflow process also gets displayed onto the public so that they know where it's gone through. Which, going back to our special board meeting on the 31st, that is very needed so that we can continue our transparency to the public of how the process goes to approve our board's agendas. It can also afford the minutes, put on the packets. We can sync our calendars for all meetings, meaning if we have someone from the public who will let you know when all our agendas are, our board meetings, inclusive of committee meetings, they can synchronize it so that if it is open to, once it is open to the public, they can just come in and at least have an indication of what it's at. We're reviewing the different programs to see what best works. But again, going back to the retreat or the special board meeting that we have on the 31st, placing the agenda packets available to the public, that's going to be important. One of the features I particularly liked about this one was time links for the video. So for example, If you had a member of our community or parent that wanted to know just specifically about an agenda item, instead of going through the whole video or fast forwarding until I get there, there's a link that they could just click and it goes straight to that section or that agenda item for discussion. And so, we're looking at the different, platforms, but, what I do want to emphasize is whatever we select, I would want to include training for sure. And that training would involve, of course, us as board, because you would get a chance to see the links once they're published, as well as our community and our teachers and our staff, those that are submitting. So we're just looking at that. I just wanted to update you on that, because once I make that decision on which way to go, it will increase our transparency that we already have with the community.
Aren't you gonna ask? Oh. I'll ask
That's
for-
$5. We used to have a
I'll
rotary thing if your phone goes
I'll
off.
ask the question
They're
for
gonna do
Secretary. I'll ask the question I know Secretary wants me to ask. Will you tell the board how much you think that this roughly might cost?
Sure, definitely. Absolutely. Whatever the cost will be, I will update the board, but we'll always follow the procurement process to make sure we can afford it.
I'm sure, but I knew she'd want to ask that if she weren't on the phone.
We're gonna have to get rid of a cell phone pouch, Secretary.
Yes.
I put it on mute. I thought, look,
$5.
All right.
sorry.
I know that concludes the superintendent.
That doesn't go on. me.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Layton. Does
Sorry.
anyone have any questions for Dr. Layton on his updates? Board Member King?
No, it's encouraging.
Oh, one more, I took it back. We are considering, again, going back to digitizing. So, in part of our organization, making sure that we got more organized, offices. Anna happened to find out, Executive Secretary, that we have board agendas dating back all the way to 1937. And so you're very correct. And so having said that, we sifted through it, and it's just amazing to see our history and the way we evolved over the course of time, the different political climates, whatever the time was going on. So having said that, we're working on digitizing and archiving the history of all of our board agendas. So little by little, we're going to be placing those, and it's public information, so we will be adding that onto our website. But what I wanted to show you was one in particular. So we're going to be looking at displaying a lot of our original documents, right? And doing one of these on this day. This is what the board was doing. So I'm going to go back to one on September 8th, 1981 in particular. And this may be of special interest to President Flores, but at the time, board president was Tina V. Martinez. The meeting was held at Taos Junior High, and our superintendent at the time was Mrs. Leonila Serna. And these books, I'd like to look at these because these are typed. You know, this is not a computer where you can backspace in case you mess up. These are literally typed. And so what we want to do besides digitizing and archiving is to put these on display here in the boardroom so that our community can see on this day in the history of Taos, this is what was being discussed by our board. And so I wanted to share this with you so that you could get a feel for it. You know, there's nothing like touching history.
Smell the book.
You can smell the book, yes. And so they do that, they do date all the way back to 1937. It's gonna take some time, it won't be by tomorrow, but we're gonna be working on digitizing all this so we can have that available to our public, as well as whenever we need to refer back to a little bit of our history.
What was pretty interesting, I was really Vice President Spray, if I may.
Yes.
The superintendent informed me that they found these minutes, and it was from when my grandmother served as president of the school board. And there is a page in here, I'm not sure exactly where it was, but it actually talked about when she was elected as a president of the school board. And in her first opening comments, there was the mention of attendance. And they talked about how the focus should be on staff and student attendance at all our school sites. So it was really powerful. Actually left superintendent's office with tear in my eyes And my grandfather, when you want to talk about, I guess how they did things back then, but my grandmother served as a school board president and my grandfather was the principal of Ranchos Elementary. So I don't know if that's a conflict of interest or nepotism or not, but I think we've got that ironed out moving forward through time. But it was a real honor to be able to kind of go through this and see her name and see her interest in the same things that we have an interest in, and you know, focusing on attendance, not just of students, but of staff, and also of accountability. So it was really very powerful day for me, and it was a great honor to be able to sit in the same seat per se that she sat in, and to be working towards the same goals that we're working towards. And it's not just an issue we're dealing with today, but it's an issue they kind of dealt with back then. And it was really, it was just touching.
Did they envision cell phone policy?
I could
I'm gonna
imagine.
pass this along, but we're gonna continue on with the meeting if you guys don't mind because it's late.
You got a lot to do.
All right, I'm gonna move on to item K.
I have to comment on this. I remember Miss Amelia Jaramillo. She was a teacher, and Julia Jaramillo, again, she's what's her name? They work at the county, Jaramillo, in the treasurer's office. No, Julia Jaramillo. Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
Somebody keep
Wait
going.
quietly till later. You can take it in executive with
Just
you.
want to know what they did for teacher housing in 1937.
Right? Right.
Maybe they figured it out in 1937. We don't need to figure it out.
Charles wasn't quite there. It was I said a Sleepy Hollow.
All right.
Okay.
Item K, consent agenda. I don't know if anyone, I did actually read over all the minutes. We were reviewing and possibly approving the minutes for the following dates: January 17th, 2024, February 21, 2024, and June 28th, 2024. It's kind of a break in there. Does anyone have any additions or deletions that they noticed or? Board Member King, with your photographic memory, do you have any
It looks good.
deletions?
I
I didn't see anything,
Yeah.
a couple misspellings, but we won't go by, and they weren't by you. I know they weren't yours. We're not gonna worry about those. President Flores, did you see any?
I did review the meetings, and from my recollection, they seem
Correct.
correct, yes.
It's hard to do them so far back. All right, would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes for January 17th, 2024, February 21, 2024, and June 28th, 2024?
As noted.
So moved to.
So moved to approve. A second?
A second.
Okay, motion and a second. We call for the roll, please.
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Sprague,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Board Member King,
Yes.
Board Member Concha.
Yes.
Yay, there she is. Okay, L, old business. A, review 2025 legislative resolution approved by the board on August 31st, 2024, to be drafted and sent to NMSBA before the September 9th deadline, which I assume we did.
Yes.
And ratify the draft this evening. Ratify the draft that was submitted on behalf of the board requesting an increase in per diem for board member attendance at board and committee meetings. Dr. Antonio Layton Jr.
So I did send them, after a few drafts, they did go in a little bit on the late side, but I did speak to Mr. Guillen. And in fact, he mentioned, that this particular, draft or this recommendation by the board has actually gone in, and they're working on that, and they're awaiting Senator Bobby Gonzalez to start to get that process going. So I just wanted to share that with you. That is hot off the press.
So did he accept our,
Yes, he did.
that was very sweet of him.
Yes.
We'll see him Monday. We can thank him in Penasco. All right, so we need to ratify it tonight, correct?
Correct. And so ratifying means that the resolution has to be read line by line.
Do we have it here?
Mhm.
The one with the corrections or the one that was corrected?
The one that was corrected.
Okay, do you want to read that? or
It's
just-
a zero second. And
Yes,
it's for the, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is the board that is reading the resolution.
I can read it. if
okay,
you like.
would you mind?
Not at all.
Thank you, President Flores.
So we have in front of us a proposed resolution to the New Mexico School Board Association. And it reads as is submitted by Taos Municipal Schools titled Increase per diem for school board member attendance at board or committee meetings or permit school board members to receive an annual salary. Whereas New Mexico statutes noted in 1978, section 22-5-5 prohibits school board members from being compensated for their services. Whereas for attendance at a board committee meeting, NMSA 1978, section 10-8-4, per diem and mileage rates in lieu of payment permits school board members as a non-salaried public officer to receive either reimbursement of actual expenses or $45 if the officer physically attends a board or committee meeting for less than 4 hours, or the officer attends a virtual meeting of any duration during a single calendar day, or $95 if the officer physically attends a board or committee meeting for 4 hours or more during a single calendar day. Whereas state legislators receive a per diem at a rate of $231, referencing fiscal year 2024, per day for attendance during the legislative session and attendance at committee meetings. Whereas state legislator per diem rates have historically increased almost 1 to 3 years. Whereas the per diem rate for school board members under NMSA 1978, section 10-8-4, per diem and mileage rates in lieu of payment decreased in 2003 by distinguishing between meetings of less than 4 hours versus more than 4 hours. Whereas in addition to per diem, state legislators have a legislature retirement plan to which they may choose to participate. Whereas by municipalities through local ordinance may prescribe the compensation and fees to be paid municipal officers, including city councilors. May be paid to municipal officers, including city councilors. Whereas by state law, NMSA 1978, 4-44-1 through 4-44-14, county commissioners receive an annual salary of $39,106 each for a Class A county, $30,196 each for a Class B county, and $15,840 each for an H-class county. Whereas by way of example, Taos City Councilors for fiscal year 24 receive an annual salary of $24,157. Whereas by state law, school boards must meet at least monthly. NMSA 1978 22-5-12A, and most school boards by necessity meet more frequently than monthly. Whereas by state law, school boards are required to have a finance committee and an audit committee, NMSA 22-8-12, on which less than a quorum of its members are required to serve. Whereas school board members are required to prepare for school board and committee meetings, including by reading packets of dense material for which there is no compensation or per diem. Whereas meetings such as finance committee and audit committee meetings and some school board meetings occur during the business day. Whereas school board packets, including those for finance committee meetings, are often 400 pages or more. Whereas school board members attend numerous school events throughout the year, such as graduation, for which there is no compensation or per diem. Whereas by state law, school boards have tremendous responsibility, including but not limited to fiscal responsibilities, acquiring, leasing, and disposing of property, suing and being sued, providing for the repair and maintenance of all property belonging to the school district, and employing and evaluating the superintendent. Whereas it is difficult to recruit candidates to run for school board, particularly those who are employed, such as working parents who have to take paid or unpaid leave to fulfill their obligations as a school board member. Now, therefore be it resolved that the per diem for school board members be increased or allow school board members to be allowed to receive salary commensurate with the compensation of a county commissioner or city councillor, taking into account equitable factors such as the size and budget of the school district.
Thank you, President Flores. Just any discussion on this? No, it's very clear. Board Member King?
I have a question, Board Member Trio. Our county is what?
B,
We're big. Okay,
we're B County.
thank you.
So no.
No,
Member Concha, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, not at this time. I mean, I think in the decision to be where we are each individually, we didn't all come to expect or receive that compensation, but as for me, as a new school board member, I've seen the tremendous amount of responsibility and work it takes to hold this position, while maintaining our current lives and other responsibilities. I think it's fair.
Hey, President Flores, anything, any discussion?
I don't know.
Oh, you
Just-
response.
Um,
Secretary
in-
Rivera.
In addition, the fiscal responsibility, I believe that we have a $30 million budget that we're responsible for. And that should be very well noted.
Thank you. President Flores?
The only comments I have is, obviously, each of us ran for the school board, and many people throughout the ages and the state have ran for the school board to serve their district and their community. I do feel though that the position of school board is under, appreciated, maybe not by, everybody, but I think it is, and it's maybe the responsibilities are not, taken into account and properly compensated for. I believe that if we were to have this actually pass through the legislature, there would be more interest, and I hate to say it, but monetary compensation does play a big role in our capitalist society. And I think we would have more interest in people running for the school board. I think there can be maybe a downside or a con to this, your pros and your cons, where us as school board members have ran for the position because we want to be impactful and we want to serve and support our teachers and our staff, whereas maybe by implementing some kind of pay structure, you would have people wanting to run for it to be compensated. But at the same time, being on the board for 11 years, knowing the tremendous amount of hours that it takes throughout the months and the weeks to be properly prepared for a meeting, to meet with our constituents, to meet with parents, to meet with the superintendent. It does take a lot of time. And at the end of the day, I think it's only fair when you look at what other elected officials are getting compensated for, that school board members, due to the responsibility that we have, be properly compensated. So I'm definitely for this resolution to be put before the legislatures. And at that point in time, I think at the end of the day, they will make the decision as to what they feel is proper compensation. But I think by putting this forward, we are highlighting and showing them that there needs to be some kind of focus on this.
All right, so do we need a motion to ratify? Is that where we're going with this? Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to ratify this resolution to go to that we already sent to the legislature or to the, already sent to NSMBA? We're basically doing it slightly backwards.
I'll make a motion to ratify the proposed resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, would you call the roll, please, Anna?
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Spring,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Board Member King,
Yes.
Board Member Concha.
Yes.
Great. Okay, item M, new business. A, first meeting presentation, discussion and possible approval if determined necessary by the board of revisions to board policy CBI, which is the evaluation of the superintendent. President, what for us?
So in our packets is the evaluation tool that has been utilized to evaluate our superintendents. This has been utilized for the past superintendents, and it is currently in our board policy to be utilized to evaluate our current superintendent. What I would like to ask the board and what's in your packet is the Taos Municipal Schools strategic plan. Get tongue tied tonight. What I'm asking for the board to look at is to do some homework, to review our strategic plan, and to also look at the evaluation tool that is in the packet along with the board policy, and see how we can condense or make possible changes to the tool that line up with our strategic plan. Trying to find the right word I was looking for.
So modified?
Modify, but also not only condense, but the word would be
Streamline.
thank you guys.
I can't think of the word either.
So what we would like to do is, what I'd like the board to do is go through the tool, condense some of the measures that are utilized to evaluate our superintendent, and see how we can tie that into our strategic plan.
That they conform, or is it conform?
Redundancies. So
Yes, I definitely welcome any kind of input. Yeah, there's a lot of redundancies in it. I think we need to line it up with our strategic plan. So that when we come back at our next meeting, or we may have to have a special board meeting so that we could fall in line with the timeline for our policy, make those revisions to the evaluation tool, so that we could move forward with the first initial evaluation of our superintendent.
Okay.
Did I miss anything there, Superintendent?
the other thing is, should the board decide, it would be at first reading to accept the updates, the revisions, or if the board wants to do a second reading. If the majority of the board decides today would be okay, but the majority can say that we approve recommended revisions to the board policy itself.
Right, but President Flores, weren't you asking us to do this at home, go through this and reduce it, or?
Yes.
So we can take this out.
And which is the tool itself, but the revisions to the policy are two separate. So the policy, the way the policy.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
So do we have policy revisions?
The first page, but, and wasn't this? This was authored by the people that did our strategic plan, is that correct? It was authored by them,
The strategic plan itself, yes.
the policy
has
was.
been around for a while.
The policy was something that they did not do,
Possible.
even though it's right behind their name.
Let me see here real quick. So I'm not sure, I see
It's here, it's right here, it's C-0600 CBI.
so I have this,
Yeah,
but
it's
actually,
that,
but
it's just this one page, right, that you're talking about?
where are the changes? For the revision?
I think it should have been highlighted.
Yeah, it's just, there's just one highlight on here, it says 1 week.
Correct. Whatever was highlighted was the revisions provided by our attorneys.
Okay, so let's give the board a minute to quickly look at this.
So the reason she highlighted it means we're to say if 1 week is enough for us? Is that why it's highlighted?
So to For policy updates, we can do two readings as our typical process, right?
Right,
But if the majority of the board does deem necessary, based on, if the board does, by majority of the board deems necessary, you can do one reading today so that the policy can be updated.
just this one page is what we're talking
That
about,
is correct, not the tool, just the policy.
the
itself.
tools and the user.
Yeah, so I think, yes, thank you guys for
Gotcha.
keeping me online. So I actually do feel that it is necessary that we adopt this policy so that we can move forward with the revisions to the superintendent's evaluation tool. There is just a small change on there, which is highlighted. It's that, and I could go ahead and, I guess, read the policy real quick. It says, the board has the sole responsibility for evaluating the superintendent and shall evaluate the superintendent using the process described in this policy. The board shall evaluate the superintendent at least twice each year. Evaluations are confidential. The evaluation shall relate to the superintendent's duties, responsibilities, and progress toward established goals for the superintendent aligned to the board's strategic plan. The evaluation process described below shall be utilized by the board to enable the reemployment and compensation decisions to be made in a timely manner. The completed summative written evaluations shall be presented and discussed with the superintendent in an executive session with the board prior to any reemployment decision by the board. Evaluation process. The evaluation shall correspond with the fiscal year, with a mid-year evaluation occurring before the end of December and an end-of-year evaluation occurring before June 30th. The mid-year evaluation may be less formal than the end-of-year evaluation. Written comments, but no ratings. As part of the end-of-year evaluation, the board shall complete a formal written evaluation, written comments and ratings. The superintendent shall ensure a timely evaluation process occurs by working with the board president to schedule 2 executive sessions beginning in October and November for the mid-year evaluation and 2 executive sessions beginning in April and May for the end-of-year evaluation. The superintendent, in collaboration with the board president, shall provide each member of the board a copy of the evaluation instrument to be used at least 1 week before the first executive session on any superintendent evaluation, along with a copy of the most recently completed evaluation for reference. The board shall meet in an initial executive session to complete any written evaluation of the superintendent in a single document which conveys the board's collective judgment. Any written feedback to the superintendent by the board shall be approved by a majority vote of the board in open session. After written feedback is approved by the board shall meet with the superintendent in an executive session to discuss the evaluation of the superintendent's performance, the working relationship between the superintendent and the board, and the superintendent's contract with the superintendent present. A copy of any written evaluation shall be given to the superintendent. If in disagreement with such evaluation, the superintendent may respond in writing to the board, and the response shall become part of the evaluation. Upon the conclusion of the evaluation, the board may determine whether any changes in the compensation, benefits, or contract terms of the superintendent are warranted. Notwithstanding the foregoing, the board shall not, during any time between the date of a regular local election in which school board positions are on the ballot and 60 days after the convening of the newly elected board, or until 60 days after a majority of the local school board has been appointed, extend the superintendent's contract or terminate the superintendent without cause. The evaluation and comments by the superintendent shall become a part of the superintendent's confidential personnel file. Adopted December 10th, 2014, legal reference 22-5-4 in MSA. So this would be the adoption of the policy. The reason for this adoption is previously our policy stated that we would do quarterly reviews of the superintendent. This brings it down to a mid-year and an end-of-year evaluation process, which I believe
It belongs to the contract.
and it aligns to the current contract the superintendent has. It aligns it to the fiscal year, which is the contract of the superintendent versus the calendar year of the previous policy. So in drafting Superintendent Leyen's contract, part of his contract reads that we would evaluate him, in alignment with the fiscal year, which is contract coincides with. And then this also kind of allows us, I think, rather than be meeting quarterly, which I think is quite busy and inundates the board with additional responsibilities, not that we're trying to shed those responsibilities, but it allows, you know, it takes time for work and progress to be made. And I think I do feel in speaking with legal that it's best that we move forward with this policy if the board does feel that's the case. And then it does say that we need to begin the evaluation process now in October, which is right around the corner. So by adopting this policy, it puts us in line with the superintendent's contract, the fiscal year.
It says October, November. So for point of clarification, since this document was adopted December 10th, 2014, and it doesn't refer to the quarterly, we've apparently rewritten, our legal rewrote this already. So there were other changes to it besides the one that's highlighted, which is fine with me. I just wanted to point it out. Okay. All right.
Does the board feel that it'd be necessary to adopt this policy in a single reading, or would they like to move forward with the second reading that can, that will be done at our next scheduled meeting?
I think we should adopt it. And so that we can move on with the evaluation as noted in the past.
Member King, what's your opinion on that?
I don't think we need a second reading, since we had our preliminary, what was that? A board retreat, our second, yeah, we kind of covered it. Yeah.
Ms. Concha, Member Concha, what's your opinion? Do you want to have a second reading of this before we vote on it, or are you okay with just one?
I'm okay with one. It's pretty self-explanatory and yeah, I don't need a second reading.
Okay, thank you. So sounds like the wish of the board is that we could do it with just one reading.
With that being said, Vice President Spray, I would like to go ahead and make a motion to adopt the revisions to board policy CBI as presented.
Okay, and anyone want to make a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, will you call the roll, please?
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Sprague,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Board Member King,
Yes.
Board Member Concha.
Yes,
And then just real quick, I know board member Concha, I'm not sure if you were able to pick up the packet, and if you can make arrangements with the superintendent's office to get a copy of the strategic plan and also a copy of the evaluation tool that is in the packet. It is my request that the board review the evaluation tool and look through it, try to find the redundancies, and also try to see if we could do some condensing of the language that's in there and line it up with the strategic plan. And I believe at our next meeting, if the board could bring those necessary changes or requested changes and revisions, we will discuss at our next meeting and pass it along to legal for the redrafting. And then we could go ahead and approve the evaluation tool for the superintendent, so we could begin his evaluation.
yes, no problem.
Please.
I'm sure that it is on the SharePoint for all the board to see
Okay, so it is on
electronically.
electronically.
Yeah, they've been gracious enough to start doing that, and it's a big help, but I will pick up the packet anyway so that I don't have to print all over again. So thank you, Anna, for doing that.
You're welcome.
And then,
This,
for some reason, we're missing.
yeah, this
Oh,
is
it's
not
actually,
complete.
we have,
This is not, It starts with 5.1 and then it goes to 3.2.
So, Vice President, if I may, at a retreat, I made a notation that the original tool was not lined up the way it's supposed to be. I mentioned the numbers were all off.
Yes,
And that was one of the reasons why at the retreat, or at the special board meeting, we requested to evaluate it again.
so part of what, Mark, you're asking us to do is to put this in order. In an order that makes sense to us, because
Because this is exactly how the copy came, and this is one of the reasons for the revisions. If y'all can.
I could be honest with you, so, let's see, we have. I recall the one that we had at least the one that I had,
the one that we used before was,
it was,
And this was also a sample that legal provided as well to look over.
the one that we used for, in the past was in order.
yes, it was,
Do we have a copy of that somewhere here? It'd be great if we could all have copies of one that's in order to review.
yeah, just maybe a slight, maybe, oversight.
There's some number that was off that was mentioned at the retreat. that-
Maybe after I left.
I think so, because the numbers were all in the actual template
Oh,
in policy.
okay.
I'll, get with the superintendent and, I believe if you guys, the board has, excuse me, the board, you guys and gals. I'm using my formality for a long day. See if you could, archive the copy we had from the board retreat. If you guys still have that in your persons and,
Is that different than this one?
yeah, it is different than. this
Okay,
one for some
I have
reason.
that one.
If you'd like, we can also, from that packet, from the board retreat, this copy it and send it to you, or put on SharePoint for your review as well, make you copies as well.
Thank you, Ms. Rao.
That'd be great.
I think that'd be great. So if we could look at the current evaluation tool, and then also in the packet is an instrument for appraising effectiveness with the superintendent evaluation that was provided by legal. It's the last two. This is, I believe what's being utilized in some other districts.
Yes.
So, just put your thoughts forward on it and we'll look at it at the next meeting.
Okay, so we're going to review this and then we're going to have it on the agenda for the next meeting,
Yes.
approve the tool or not approve the tool.
To discuss it, go over the tool. Make the necessary or recommendations, and then we pass it over to the superintendent to be passed on to legal for the.
Okay,
draft.
perfect. Okay.
So she's gonna send it, so.
And as you get,
She's gonna send it.
yes, and actually while you guys are in executive sessions, I'll make a hard copy, so you guys can grab one on the way out.
Great,
So,
thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rao.
Yeah, I was gonna say, could someone pick up one? Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Right, next we are moving on to item MB, discussion regarding possible teacher housing subcommittee, Dr. Fontana Layton Jr.
Going back to the superintendent's update, I mentioned that I'm making a recommendation that since we're looking at different possibilities of how to use the facilities or subsidization of teacher housing, I wanted to recommend that a subcommittee is discussed, a subcommittee be formed from the land committee. So that we look at land, now, but now we're gonna look at how we're gonna use for specifically for teacher housing, either the land or facilities. And so I was just going to ask that y'all consider, the board consider. I said y'all, right, like I'm still from the state of Texas.
Yeah, get over that.
Like discussion, at least to consider forming a subcommittee so we can, as a committee, look at what is best for our recruitment and retention of our teachers and also the education rates.
And with that, it was my thoughts that we continue with the two board members that are on the housing or the land committee, which I believe
I think there's only one.
there's only one, so,
I think it's just myself.
okay.
It was Renetta, myself, Alipio. And Alipio, it was a small committee. It was just when I found all the land at the county and we decided to look at it. So we
So
just have one so far.
as part of the subcommittee, it'd be my recommendation to continue if you so wish, being that it would provide some consistency from the land committee to the teacher housing subcommittee, and it would be my recommendation to appoint a board member King to the teacher housing subcommittee.
Okay, with the caveat that you understand since you are a mortgage dealer, you would never be allowed to be in any part of that end of housing if we go with this.
Oh, no, it has nothing to do with me.
No, I think,
No, I just know, I just needed to say that, because.
I think board member King actually brings a lot of
You do.
knowledge and experience to it, and I think obviously he's not gonna be the mortgage broker.
Yeah,
I
I won't
think it was
be,
a
I won't be
joke.
doing a
When you
loan.
mentioned it before, I think you must have been joking. I think it was a joke then. I just wanted to make sure that we talked about it on camera out loud, when there would be no conflict of interest.
And again, what the discussion is, the subcommittee, I would recommend that as part of the subcommittee, it brings the recommendation back to the board for open discussion.
Yeah. Recommendation.
Well, it's kind of like, it's sort of all the land/housing committee then in a way,
To a certain degree.
yeah. Cause there is overlap, a lot of it. Okay, that's fine. I'll continue to serve happily and proudly. Thank you, President Flores.
So Vice President Spacewell, item C would be.
Yep. So we just did the discussion and consideration, so now we need to approve this. Yes.
Is he okay with being on that committee again, but you, is he gonna be on the committee? You're gonna be on the committee? Okay,
Yes, I assumed you said. you
Oh, yeah,
wanted-
yeah.
okay.
Okay, so that would be.
So with that, Vice President Cynthia, I would like to make a motion to appoint Vice President Cynthia Spray and Board Member Keith King to the Teacher Housing Subcommittee.
I'll second.
We have a second, Secretary Trujillo. Vice President Spray, please take the lead.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion? No, Anna, would you call the roll, please?
President Flores,
Thank you.
Yes.
Vice President Spring.
Yes,
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes,
Board Member King,
Yes.
Board Member Concha.
Yes.
okay. Item MD, discussion, consideration, and possible approval. 4 days of, I guess it should be of 4 days of professional learning, communities, professional development by Solution Tree at Enos Garcia. In the amount of $28,450.50, and I think that's inclusive of tax, correct? And it would be Melissa Eager.
President Flores, Vice President Spray, members of the board, Dr. Layton and community members, I have before you a proposal to use the Title I non-competitive CSI grant funds to allow Enos Garcia to get additional training in professional learning communities.
Okay, is there any discussion, questions for Ms. Eager? Dr. Layton, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I do. Vice President Spray, members of the board, I recommend that, the board, approve the 4 days of professional learning committees, professional development by Solution Tree at Enos Garcia, the amount of $20,450.50 as presented by Ms. Eager.
Okay, would anyone like to?
So move to approve the 4 days of professional learning communities, professional development by Solution Tree for Enos Garcia in the amount of $28,450.50.
Any second?
I'll second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Okay, Anna, would you call the roll, please?
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Spring.
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes,
Board Member King,
Yes.
Board Member Concha.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Pardon me, Dr. Layton.
We're doing great.
No, I'm so tired. It's so late. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. I don't want to make you feel unimportant. All right. Item ME is discussion, consideration, and possible approval for the transfer of government property to Vista Grande of 100 Chromebook devices and a Nancy Charter 75 Chromebook devices valued at $11,900 presented by Ms. Maria Gentile.
Hello, President Flores, Vice President Spray, members of the board, Dr. Layton, meeting members,
She left.
yeah.
Can we see?
I can't see with my screen here. What I'm asking is that we transfer these devices. Last spring, we received 1,500 new Chromebooks that are faster. We went from 4 gigabytes to 8 gigabytes. They are touch screen. And these devices are about 3-4 years old left. They're nearing end of life. They probably have maybe a good year and a half left. Vista Grande can use them, Anansa Charter can use them. I would like to see if we could transfer these devices to them. And so that I could get the new ones out to the students. The 3rd graders are already using them. All our new students are using them. They're loving them. Liz Gilroy Arroyo said that her students absolutely see the difference, that they are much faster, and the kids love the touchscreen. This will be the first of several requests. I think Roots and Wings is also in need. And then after that, I want to go ahead and see if it was Total Technology to see if we could get some money back for the devices that I can't get out to our local schools here in the district. It also was no cost to the district for these devices. They were paid out of ECF funding. So it was during COVID, and it wasn't called a grant. It was through E-rate. And so E-rate was able to actually pay for all these devices. So we didn't use any of our ed tech money for them.
So is this like a write-off for us? It's a donation?
Yeah, basically.
Fine.
When I talked to Mariana, I talked to Tanya, they said that it had to be a transfer of government property. I wouldn't say, they didn't call it a donation though. No. Yeah, and so, there is a little work on our end. We have to deprovision the devices. They still have to purchase the licensing, for the Chrome licensing, but that's not on us.
Okay, thanks, Maria.
Some of the resources.
What's up?
It's a feel-good one. Thank you, Maria. Anyone have any questions for Maria? Nope. Yes, Dr. Layton, do you have recommendations?
Yes, sure do. Vice President Spray. Vice President Spray, President Flores, members of the board, I'll recommend for the approval of the transfer of government property to Vista Grande of 100 Chromebooks to 100 Chromebook devices and a Nancy Charter for 75 Chromebook devices as presented by Director of IT and Communications, Maria Gentile.
Okay, great. Would anyone like to make a motion for this to happen?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Member King. Second, anyone second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Trujillo. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, Anna, will you call the roll, please?
President Flores,
Yes.
Vice President Spray,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Board Member King,
Yes.
Board Member Concha.
Yes.
And Vice President, Spray, real quick, before we get into item N of executive session, I had taken a picture of one of the pages that I was referencing on this historical document, and if you guys don't mind entertaining me while I read just one excerpt from this, just for our records and knowledge.
You can read whatever you want.
So in, let's see, the date real quick was March 17, 1981. And Board President Tina V. Martinez, who's my grandmother, addressed the board briefly expressing her desire to stress accountability and her desire for a decrease in absenteeism, both by students and staff members. She also praised Mr. Arsenio Cordova and Mr. Meriton Struck for having perfect attendance at board meetings.
I love them.
So I think I know we all do our best to attend board meetings, but we need to try to lead by example and have perfect attendance also.
We try. To be honest,
Thank you all for
For
your-
Naomi's on the.
I know, I failed that one. But congratulations, President Flores, on that great history, and I think that's amazing, just the generational, the work that you've done and the time that you've committed, so it's honorable, and to, you know, see it full circle with your grandparents and all of that, that's pretty amazing.
Thank you,
Right.
Board Member Concha, and I know that we all have a busy life, and I just want to commend all the board, you, Board Member King, Secretary True, and Vice President Spray for serving as school board members. It does take a big commitment, and you guys have my utmost respect, and I feel very honored to be able to serve with all of you.
I get you.
Feeling neutral.
All right, may I go on to item N? Item N is executive session. I'm gonna read what it's to be about and only about. Item A, pursuant to section 1015-1 H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, to discuss limited personnel matters specifically for the superintendent to advise the board regarding a Title IX complaint and investigation of same. And B is pursuant to section 1015-1 H of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, section 12-6-5 of the New Mexico Audit Act, and 2.2.2.15A3 and MAC specifically for the superintendent to update the board and legal counsel to advise regarding status of a special audit. We need a motion to
So
go
moved
into
to enter into executive session. For the
Second.
record, it's 9:22.
We have a motion and a second.
President Flores?
Yes.
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo?
Yes.
Board Member King?
Yes.
Board Member Concha?
Yes.
Will she be able to attend? Okay.
No, the hills are short.
Good job. I'm just tired. I'm a morning person. Oh, I was home 3 hours in the morning. Thank you for saying that. Good job.
Executive session.
I'm not expecting to and being exhausted. I'm such a morning person. If I were, we'd meet earlier, so.
Maria, do I have to leave this one and then log into the other one?
Yes. Maria, will you be here or gone?
No,
Okay.
I'm gonna be,
Okay, I'm just gonna leave
yes,
it.
yes, I'm gonna be here.
She's got to stay.
Elena, I think will go ahead and send the Zoom link. I'm gonna go walk down to Dr. Layton's and just help them get set up, but I'll make sure that you get that link.
Yeah.
Yes,
You know
Concha.
what? That's why I'm feeling okay, because I ate.
Are you there?
I'm gonna relax.
Ms. Concha? Did I lose her?